Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green Flag. I'm your host, Lukas Wacker, and with me, as always, we have Kyle Cushman. And welcome to the third and final NASCAR 2021 season preview. Going to be a fun episode in store today. We've got the usual categories. Make sure you go check out the Trucks and Xfinity series before you watch this one because it's very similar format. And we've got the news. Excuse me. And we've got the news and stuff to start off the episode, of course. But then we've got the Busch Clash to preview as well. Just when you're watching this, it's a matter of hours away. So make sure you see what we've got in store for that. We've got the lineup all ready to go. And we see where Chase Elliott's going to be starting in that one. And then we've got also, we're going to be predicting the front row for the Daytona 500 qualifying set on Wednesday before we record yet again on Thursday. We've got a full action-packed week with Speed Week coverage. We're going to have 4 episodes this week to recap it all. It's going to be a busy week, but we are going to be so excited to be bringing it all to you guys here at the Green Flag. So we've got plenty of things to get to in today's episode. Before we get into all of that, Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. We are finally 24 hours away from seeing Cup Series cars on track, and boy, oh boy, I cannot wait, man. It looks like it might rain as well, so we might be kicking things off with like a rain race on the road course under the lights. I don't even know how the hell that would go, but I'm very, very excited. Yes, I've been waiting for this week for a long time. We got a lot of really fun stuff planned, and it all begins today with our full Cup Series preview. And I keep looking at this sheet I got in front of me, and I want to change things every time I look at it. So I got to stop looking at it. But yeah, this is going to be a real fun one.
Definitely. I am still in a couple of have a couple question marks next to some things as of right now. So it's going to be a process throughout the episode to see where I fill in some things, but that's a little bit later on. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be one to watch for sure. It's the big finale to our season preview. So it's going to be a fun one with that, but we'll get into the news and notes to start off today's episode. We won't take too long with these today because it is the big preview. But we have some pretty big news to start off the show.
Yeah, we do.
On the Formula One side of things today, Lewis Hamilton has finally put pen to paper. He is signed with Mercedes on a 1-year contract to return to the team in his bid for his illustrious and record-breaking 8th Formula One championship. All signs point to this happening. It definitely happened later rather than sooner. In this case, they started negotiations much later than they both wanted to, as the kind of press release and the conversations with the media presented itself. They were going to be talking about it in that double weekend in Bahrain. Lewis Hamilton tested positive for COVID, so those discussions had to be moved back. And then it has taken till the second week of February now to try and get this deal finished, and it has been finished. And this does mean, though, that Mercedes has both drivers, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, out of contract at the end of this season. Next generation of car coming in 2022. Could be the potential with a major shakeup over there at Mercedes. That's all to be determined. If you did miss our silly season predictions for the 2022 F1 driver lineup, make sure to go check that out. And we won't spoil anything here, but we are not surprised that Lewis Hamilton has re-opted with Mercedes for this one. But very happy that he's actually kind of put all that to bed, and we can focus on the full 20 driver lineup for the 2021 F1 season that's going to be happening in a couple of months' time. But what do you make of the news here, Kyle? Lewis Hamilton on a 1-year contract. That's the biggest piece of news out of it all. There's some rumors about a 2-year contract and a veto situation that definitely is like the furthest thing from the truth after all of the things that we've heard. But Lewis Hamilton on a 1-year contract to stay with Mercedes.
Yeah, finally is the right word, because we've been waiting for this one for a while. And who would have thought that Lewis Hamilton, of all people, would be the last one to sign in F1 silly season? It's kind of backwards how you would think that. You'd think the biggest seat would be filled first and then everything else would go on from there. But they took their time with it. They didn't rush things. There were some hurdles that they had to get through there. But we finally are here with Lewis Hamilton re-upping for this 2021 season. But again, the big thing is the fact that it is only just another 1-year contract. And there's a lot of speculation that can go into it, because not only does it end after one season, it's also the season that begins new regulations and cost cap, and all these kind of things that are expected to kind of blow up the grid and make things much more even, make things much more unpredictable. And when you're somebody like Lewis Hamilton, looking at that, you have the intrigue of the new regulations and the new car and testing yourself, but also you could also go out on top likely as an 8-time world champion. So what one would you rather do there? So when you're looking at it, I really don't know. I think it could be 50-50 whether he resigns past the season. It's more of a discussion down the road, but at least for this season, as expected, Lewis Hamilton is back. We all knew it was going to come. It was just a matter of when. But I'm just glad that we didn't. For starters, I'm a little surprised that it wasn't like a multi-year with an option kind of thing, like a 2-year with the second year being an option, something like that. But I think the big thing is that we don't have to deal with this whole veto situation, which was rumored a little bit, where there could be a clause in his contract where he would be able to veto any teammates or anything like that. And I can only imagine the media circus that would have been if anything like that came into play going into next year. Even though we've seen it multiple times in F1 history, it's not really something that you really want to see. But I'm glad we don't have to deal with that. I just really don't know what it's going to be into the future here. But at least for this season, we know Lewis Hamilton will be back and fighting for history once again.
Yeah, and it just continues that trend that he's kind of been on, the 1-year contract kind of situation over the past couple of seasons. It's kind of letting his fate be determined by himself. He doesn't want anything kind of tying him down for right now. And
take it year by year, see how you feel. Like
exactly.
When you're that stature and when you're that secure in your contract and everything like that in your team, why not just take it year by year? And so it makes sense for him. It makes sense, especially given the circumstances going into 2022. You can see where things are headed. There's always rumors that the regulations could get pushed back another year as well. So I'm sure that plays into things as well. And so it's just the safest move for him to take it year by year, re-up the contract with Mercedes each year, because they're not going to part with you and you're not going to part with them, and just kind of see where things are at after every single season. Makes sense once again. But every year that he does it, we get closer and closer to it being the last one. And I don't even want to think about that at this point.
No, neither do I. It would just be such a shame to lose somebody like Lewis Hamilton, as talented as Lewis Hamilton, both on and off the track. I mean, what this man has done for the sport and, for many, many different areas of livelihood is truly spectacular. So we've talked about him plenty of times on this show. We've given him his due diligence, and rightfully so.
He's had quite the year.
Yes, that's for sure. And we're very happy to have Lewis Hamilton back on the grid this season, and hopefully for many more years to come. We're craving a Lewis Hamilton, George Russell battle at some point over there at Mercedes. And hopefully we can get that Brit v Brit in 2022 if it does come down to it. If one has to leave, we all know who we'd rather have leave the team over there at Mercedes than the other. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's going to be a very interesting storyline to follow as the year progresses on who they give contract priority to, if they start discussions with one over the other first, or what have you. But it's definitely, there could be a changing of the guards sooner rather than later at Mercedes. But for right now, they're still the powerhouse and the favorites to win a 8th consecutive Constructors Championship and another driver's title. Who that is, it's most likely Hamilton, but you never know if Bottas can maybe come up with a new facial hair kind of thing this season, that new mojo. But Lewis Hamilton is definitely the guy to beat, going for his 8th championship, and he's back with Mercedes for at least one more season. Speaking of George Russell there, he has won the second of 3 virtual GPs over there for Formula One on the esports side of things, a fun little thing that they've been doing. Enzo Fittipaldi won the first one back in Austria. George Russell takes it home this past weekend at Silverstone. Nothing really to talk about there, just have to address the esports side of things. We got to be so inclusive nowadays. While we're recording this as well, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series is going on as well. So we'll probably mention who won that race in the next episode. But just a fun little tidbit there. It's just a great thing to get the entire YouTube community involved and have these professional racing drivers, and even Thibaut Courtois. We got to have a whole bunch of different sports partaking in Formula One. So that's a fun little thing that they're doing over this offseason to continue what they did in 2020. Let's go to NASCAR now, Kyle. We've got a couple of sponsors kind of entering the mix once again, some familiar, some new, and that starts off with Armor All as a partner with RPM, Richard Petty Motorsports, a pretty slick looking paint scheme, I must say.
I like it.
I like the orange. It's been hit or miss with orange paint schemes for me. And that Home Depot one for Tony Stewart for many, many years was
the
A+.
classic.
It's one of the best paint schemes. It's so simplistic yet so effective. And this one is pretty similar with that. And it's the first time we've seen Almiral for many, many years. I think it's almost been 10 years since they've been in the sport. It's been a long, long time. Remember, Tony Stewart actually ran a Xfinity car or then Nationwide car with that sponsorship. I think it was at Daytona once. But yeah, Eric Jones gets a premium sponsor here for select races this season. They have yet to be announced what those races will be. But a good funding addition here for Eric Jones, bringing a little bit of sponsorship in, has a little bit of tie to STP as well, their main sponsor. So it all makes sense over there, but it's nice to see Eric Jones getting that big sponsorship. And then on the Joe Gibbs Racing side of things, his former team, Denny Hamlin has a new sponsor as well. FedEx will not
That's
be
so strange. Yeah.
running the whole season here with Denny Hamlin as as in their new contract negotiations that they've had over the past month or so. They've come to an agreement that that's going to continue beyond this season. Obviously, Hamlin was in a contract year, signed a multi-year extension. So did FedEx with Joe Gibbs Racing. But they have I didn't know that they were not doing all the races this season. And it's an interesting little grab here for Denny Hamlin. What is the sponsorship again? I don't have it written down.
I think it's like OfferPad or something like that.
Yes, OfferPad. Yeah. It's spelled. Checked my thing here. But yeah, OfferPad will be the primary sponsor for a couple of races for Denny Hamlin this season at Phoenix on March 14th, and then the Charlotte Roval in the playoffs there on October 10th.
Jeez, they got a couple good dates there.
Exactly, and it also will run 4 Xfinity Series races with Harrison Burton this season as well. So a nice little addition there with 2 sponsorship. Kyle, what do you make of the 2 new additions and the paint schemes as well? The Denny Hamlin one is up for debate on if you like it or not. 2 orange schemes though for the ones that they were released today.
I'll start with the Armor All Eric Jones one. And yeah, it's an STP brand, so it's something a little bit different. It shakes it up a little bit, but it's a new look that we haven't seen for a while. And I got to say, the car looks pretty slick as well. I'm excited to see what it looks like on track. I think that's one that could look really slick. And yeah, we know about Eric Jones and some of his sponsorship troubles that he's had over the years. So it's nice seeing a new brand associated with him. And hopefully that can be something that can become more of a personal tie for Eric Jones rather than just RPM and STP kind of having a different brand on that car. And then for Denny Hamlin, it's going to be so weird seeing something else other than FedEx. And we've seen different FedEx schemes and all that kind of stuff, but we haven't seen like an OfferPad completely different scheme on the 11 for some time. So it's also a scheme that doesn't look that great. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure.
Terrible. It's terrible.
It's really rough.
Pretty rancid, man.
It's pretty rough, but you know what? At least you'll notice that it's not the FedEx car. Maybe that's what they were going for.
Totally different.
It's not even remotely close. So 2 very different ends of the spectrum in terms of the paint schemes, but both very interesting additions to the sponsor lineups for this upcoming season.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you said, it's been a while since we've seen Denny Hamlin without FedEx. And, I think the sport clips, that's the main one that I think of. He ran those at Atlanta and in Darlington. Yeah. But besides that, he doesn't really run much else in his NASCAR Cup Series career.
Even the sport clips ones are like JGR sponsors. This is completely new, something like when it's a JGR sponsor, like you see it on other JGR cars, so you're kind of used to it even then. But this is going to be very different to say the least.
This one's out of left field. That's for sure with the sponsorship.
So is the paint scheme.
Yeah, this is going back to the parking lot in my opinion, but at least we're getting some new sponsors into the sport. That's always a good thing, and we're welcoming OfferPad and then Almiral back to the sport. So let's look at the Daytona 500. One more open entry car has been added to the list, and that will be driven by Garrett Smithley, and he will attempt to run the Daytona 500 in the number 13 Motorsports Business Management car. So we'll see what they can do. I'm not expecting too much. Yeah, neither is Smithley from his media comments, but how can you when you look at the open entry cars that we have this season and the caliber of drivers and the equipment that he's going to have to go up against? It's going to take something pretty incredible in the duels. It's not even going to come down to speed for them on Wednesday. It's going to come down to the duels on Thursday, and if they can make it in this, and if there's a freak accident and some open entry cars get taken out, then Garrett Smithley, if he's kind of riding around in the back, which is maybe all that car is maybe capable of, but if he can, just minimize mistakes and stay out of trouble, Maybe Garrett Smithley makes the 500. I've seen crazier things.
How many open entries do we got now?
We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 open entries, and that's the final.
So you'll have 4 in each duel. You have 1 locked in. So basically, all you got to hope for is 2 other cars in your duel to crash. That's what the MBM cars are going to be going for. And honestly, when you look at some of the names involved, you would expect them to be in the packs as well. So if there is any kind of big one or anything like that in either of the duels, they got a shot. So they're showing up. They're not going to have the expectations that any of the other kind of bigger name open entries are, but you show up and you never know what can happen.
This is the most we've seen with open entry cars for quite some time. So maybe that's just a little bit of an added, rivalry into the race itself for the duels, because we don't usually see that.
For just making the show was enough for those guys to show up and try. So you won't see them in the duels much. You'll probably see them once every 10 or so laps when they get lapped just running in the back. But they don't care about that. They just care about finishing ahead of the other open entries, and the only way they'll be doing that is if they wreck. So it's another little interesting thing to watch for the duels, and it's nice, though, for us because then it makes it a nice even 4-4.
Exactly. Going to be fun to watch the duels. Stay tuned for our predictions and stuff in our preview for that.
Fun.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. And it's going to be the first real race on the actual high banks this year, with the Clash being on the road course. So going to have to wait a couple extra days to get super speedway racing back for the season, but it'll be definitely worth the wait. I'm sure of that. Ty Dillon will race for Gaunt Brothers Racing with our next bit of news. He's going to be racing for the team at the Daytona Road Course, so he's going to be following up his Daytona 500 open entry here. He's going to be trying to make the field once again with the Daytona Road Course. Hopefully he has a successful 500. If he is able to make the show, then he can make it into the race the following weekend. But it's good to see Ty Dillon getting these sporadic starts here and there. He's going to be running some Xfinity Series races for JGR. We talked about that on the show very much recently. So it's Ty Dillon staying in that Toyota camp, just trying to get as many reps as possible. And that 96 car, we'll see what he can do in the 2311 racing machinery tomorrow or today when you're watching. Exactly. He's from a guy that had basically nothing about 2.5 weeks ago, it seems like he's got everything at the moment. But
if it's a Toyota team, he's probably running for it. So
exactly, if there's an open spot for Toyota, Ty Dillon seems to be like kind of this reserve driver on the F1 side of things, where it's just like this filler guy that's everywhere. But Ty Dillon at least is going to be making another start here for Gaunt Brothers, Kyle.
Yeah, it's good to see. And I hope that he gets a bunch more starts in that Gaunt Brothers car. He's going to be running for points in Xfinity, at least based off of how he's declared or listed, at least for the Clash coming up on Tuesday night. But
makes sense.
It's going to be kind of funny to have him go from running in the 2311 car in the Clash, and then a couple weeks later running in the Gaunt Brothers car in the Daytona Road Course regular season race, and then going everywhere else. So he's going to be a busy man. He's going to be wearing many different colors this year for the Toyota camp. But hey, you know what? Run as many races as you can if you're Ty Dillon, and see if you can make any kind of statement performance or anything like that. And that begins with the Clash with 2311. We have no clue what to expect from them there because it's a brand new team. But yeah, for Ty Dillon, he's only got a few races in Xfinity right now, so if he can flesh out that Cup schedule with Gaunt Brothers, we don't know if they're going to run the whole schedule like they did last year as an open entry. If there
seems unlikely right now,
select races, it remains to be seen. But if you're Ty Dillon, if you can secure the sponsorship, get as many races as you can in the 96. We saw last year Suarez went back to the 96. Things weren't looking all that great in terms of silly season, and all of a sudden new team pops up and they go grab him as a driver, and it looks like Trackhouse is going to be a semi-competitive team as well. So you never know what can happen if you remain relevant, and I think that's got to be the game plan here for Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I agree. If you're just watching NASCAR for the first time this year, you're going to have a tough time watching all the series. And, Ty Dillon's there and here and there. He's everywhere. But
just wait till he makes a random truck series start or something.
Oh, yeah. The Dillons are everywhere, it seems like, in the sport. But Ty Dillon, happy to see he's getting another shot here with Gaunt Brothers. And the main thing for him is qualifying for the 500 and seeing if he can make that race. And then that positive momentum can carry into that next weekend at Daytona as well. Let's move on to the Xfinity Series, Kyle. We've got one little bit of news on this one. Natalie Decker, she had a bit of an up and down 2020 season in the Truck Series, running part-time for Nice, and she said she just had a couple of health problems as well, preventing her from running the races that she was meant to. But she's getting a shot here in the Xfinity Series, making her Xfinity Series debut here in the number 23 Xfinity car. Remember, this is going to be the one that Jason White is going to be driving in as well at Daytona. So Natalie Decker will be running in the 23 Xfinity car owned by Ryan Sieg Racing, but is managed by Rayum Brothers Racing for 5 races to start the year. And her first race will be at the Daytona Road Course. Red Street Records will be the primary sponsor for all 5 of those tentatively scheduled races for Natalie Decker. We'll see if she gets more later on in the season, but for right now, she's got 5 races. And it's always great to see female representation in motorsports. She's had, some iffy moments over her career, to say the least, in the top 3 in the Truck Series specifically, but it's great to see at least she's getting another shot here, and we'll see what she can do. 5 races, it's not too much, but it's a little bit of a sample size to give you a little bit of representation on how she may be able to translate onto the next higher level of motorsports. But a good opportunity here for Natalie Decker, Kyle.
Yeah, and I saw some people complaining on Twitter about it being like a promotion or something like that because it's the Xfinity Series versus the Truck Series, and that's not really what it is in these cases. When it's a mid or backmarker team in Xfinity, that's kind of the same or the same driver pool for a similar or comparable Truck Series team that's mid-pack or back of the field. So even though it's Xfinity instead of trucks or anything like that, don't read into that too much. It's a very comparable gig that she's got here. But what I'll say is that she does get a lot of hate, and there are some justifiable reasons for it at times, but for most of the time it is over the top. Last year, Nice Motorsports didn't have the GMS relationship, so every driver that stepped in there looked worse than Ross Chastain did the year prior when he was a Final Four contender, and even Chastain, when he was there, didn't have the crazy performances that he did previously. Ty Majeski, who's regarded as one of the best short track racers in all of America, he ended up losing his ride halfway through the season there, even with that team. So it was a very much a down season for Nice Motorsports. Natalie Decker was part of that last season. Wasn't all that great. But again, anytime you can land kind of those mid to back marker rides and just get that seat experience, you got to do so. And so it's exciting to see her get this another opportunity. Just 5 races. We'll see if it becomes anything more as the year goes along. But excited to see how her performance kind of compares to some of those others in that mid to back marker field in Xfinity.
Yeah, she just has to keep it clean as much as she can in her 5
That's
starts.
The big thing. She just needs laps.
She needs to finish
a lot of the
race.
time, yeah, she's had some trouble actually finishing the race, and that's the big thing for a lot of young drivers, and it's just kind of growing with that. And if you can find a team that'll go along, it's always good. So the big thing is avoiding the trouble, right? It's the same thing that we talk about for any of the Cup Series back markers.
Yes.
We don't care if you're running or whatever, as long as you stay out of the way, if you don't cause trouble. And that's kind of been the complaint with Decker at times. So hopefully she can continue to progress here and kind of fix some of those mistakes here.
For sure. Let's move on to the Truck Series here, Kyle. We've got, first a little bit of news with this next one here.
Yeah, I'll let you take the reins.
Kyle Busch announces his 5 truck races that he's going to be running this season. And if you missed our Truck Series season preview, I had Kyle Busch tying with his teammate John Hunter Nemechek with the most wins.
That's right.
And I did not know his schedule at the time of making that prediction. And I got to be honest, I think he could go 5 for 5. I think he could go 5 for 5 with this right now. But, on the side of caution, I went with 4. But I could see Kyle Busch maybe sweeping the Truck Series with these tracks and his strength of schedule. He's got March 5th at Las Vegas to open his Truck Series campaign, March 20th at Atlanta, April 17th at Richmond. That may be a little bit of a question mark. He hasn't run the trucks there in quite some time, so there may take a little bit of laps to get used to that. Then we got May 1st at Kansas, and then to end it all off, we've got June 26th at Pocono. It's an interesting select choices of races for him. There is
very different than his Xfinity races as well.
Which I actually really like the way he's planned out his schedule here. He's not going for the triple in any of the series, it seems. So he's just spreading it out as much as he can across all 3 series to give him the most seat time across different levels. So if he can't have practice one weekend for the Cup Series, then maybe he has a truck race that weekend to give him a little bit of a sense of the track. They're totally different driving styles. I understand that, but any track time is good time on a race weekend. So it makes sense from that point of view. Of course, he's going to run in Las Vegas. That's his hometown. It's going to make sense in that regard. I like the Richmond edition as well. He's kind of been struggling a little bit of Richmond in the past, so I think it's a good opportunity there for him to test things out. And the Pocono weekend is an interesting one as well, I think, because you got the doubleheader with the Cup Series, and he's going to be running the truck, so he's going to be very, very busy that one weekend when the NASCAR circuit heads to Pocono. Kansas, Atlanta, self-explanatory. He does exceptionally well on both of those tracks in the Truck Series. He's just trying to go for wins at this point. He's the all-time record holder in terms of wins in the series. He's got nothing to shoot for that. If he's going for 100, he's got a long way to go to get to that number. But yeah, Kyle Busch, I'm not going to mention it in today's episode with the rules and stuff.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm going to
You're
stay
doing
with that
it right now, I guess.
No, Okay, so that's the
You're
schedule for Kyle
rant.
Busch.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to be doing that today.
Okay.
I like the schedule that he's done here. And quickly on Kyle Busch as well, I read an article about him, and he said that he felt like he had been fired and rehired over the offseason from JGR. I don't know if you read this, Kyle, but it was just because of the amount of personnel changes that he had over the offseason. The thing is that people don't, if you're kind of new to the sport or you don't follow it as intensely, when the crew chief goes, a lot of the team personnel follow the crew chief. It's not with the driver. And Kyle Busch experienced an entire shift over there, that 18 car. A lot of guys that he's been racing with since in 2008 when he was with the team have moved over with Adam Stevens to be with Christopher Bell this season. And a lot of the 20 guys have come over to Kyle Busch. And that 20 car has been kind of lackluster for the past couple of seasons. So it begs the question, will that 20 car's performance carry over to the 18 this season? Not just because of Ben Bayshore or being a rookie crew chief, but as well as having some team personnel that maybe was a little bit underwhelming at that 20 car. So maybe the 20 car sees this incredible boost over there, but you never know. I just wanted to point that out because it was interesting to hear him say that, because I haven't really heard from Kyle much over the offseason on his thoughts on the entire move. But that quote really kind of made me realize how big of a shift it really was for him this offseason, and whether he likes it or not, he's got an entirely new team behind him, and he's going to have to deal with it and go try and win some races this season and not struggle as much as he did in 2020. So that's the Kyle Busch kind of little bit of the episode there in that regard. But do you have anything to add on his schedule or anything, Kyle?
Not too much. I will say the Pocono pick's a little bit weird because, as you mentioned, it's the doubleheader for Cup. It's the only one they've got this year. So you would have thought with 5 races to pick from, he maybe would have gone somewhere else that maybe would have helped more for the Cup
I really wish
weekend.
he picked Watkins Glen if he was able to. I really wish he did that. That would have been really great. But I don't know if there's like the triple truck challenge this season at certain races, so it's preventing him to run at certain ones. And then I don't know if he can run the regular season finale or not. So maybe that was kind of the thing. I don't know the rationale behind all of the rules behind that, but it's 5 races. It's not much.
I do want to add really quick. We are recording this on the Monday night. Yes. So there was the first technical NASCAR race of the year with the ARCA East Series at New Smyrna. They had a rain delay. They just finished the race. And I need you to go watch this finish from the ARCA Menards Twitter account. 3 wide finish for the win. Max Gutierrez gets the win. It's bonkers. It's crazy.
Okay, 1 minute long.
You got to pull this up. Yeah.
Do you want me to share my screen or
No, that's okay. Okay. That's okay. I can overlay it in afterwards if we want to.
Oh, this is coming to the checkered. Oh, okay.
Yeah, coming to the checkered. It's nuts. I can't believe they waited like a solid hour plus. For the rain. And isn't that nuts?
Oh my God. The guy was at least 5 car lengths back going into 3.
Yeah.
How did he pull that
New
off?
Smyrna, man. New Smyrna. Hey, you know what? We should send the trucks there or something to open up the year. I think Dale Jr. said that at one point, but that's a fun little track, and underrated opening race of the year for ARCA East there.
Bravo.
It's a series that doesn't get a lot of attention, obviously, as being kind of like the 5th tier kind of thing for NASCAR. ARCA gets the most attention there, but pretty damn good start to the year there, eh?
I must say that's worthy of making a quick interruption in the show. That's awesome. What a great
Max Gutierrez. Shout out Max Gutierrez.
Of course. Wow, what a great way to start the motorsports NASCAR kind of thing, eh? Wow, what a That's awesome. Put me in a great mood here going forward. Yeah, shout out Max Gutierrez for that incredible finish there. 3 wide. Make sure you go check that out at the Arkham Menards Twitter account. It is definitely worth the watch.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the final little bit of news here, Kyle. One quickly here with the truck series for this upcoming race on Friday night. David Gilliland will attempt to qualify the number 17 truck for himself, basically. And he's going to be running with the Blacks Tire and Auto Service as the sponsor for the car. So David Gilliland, a pretty sporty super speedway racer in himself. He's made some appearances over the years. When Todd Gilliland was with KBM, he did a couple of starts there with KBM as well. So David Gilliland just trying to keep his, nose integrated into the sport in some capacity, and at least he's going to be doing it with the truck series at Daytona. He could be a sneaky wild card pick. You never know if he keeps the truck out of trouble. David Gilliland could see himself in victory lane. I mean, we've seen some surprise winners in the past at Daytona.
He ran the race last year for then DGR Crossley. Of course, it's now David Gilliland racing with some of that investment and whatnot from the Gray family as well. And hey, you know what? Yeah, he, as you mentioned, he's a pretty sporty super speedway racer, and we expect the Ford teams to maybe have a bit of a boost with only having a couple teams there now in trucks. So definitely keep an eye on him. He's going to be in a decent truck there as well, so should be fun.
Well, remember, he finished third in that iconic super speedway race in the Cup Series with David Reagan there with that 1-2 front row motorsports finish. So you never know. David Gilliland, keep your eye out for him in the number 17 truck on Friday night. Could be a fun one to watch. The last little bit is just a little bit of a report from Adam Stern here. Around 10 groups are exploring buying NASCAR charters currently with both existing teams and also ones that are looking to maybe start a team or get involved with the sport in some capacity. Where this goes down the line, I don't know, but it's an interesting prospect that 10 different people or 10 different groups are looking to be involved in NASCAR, and that's only positives. We saw this past season how many new things we've had over the off-season. 2311 Racing, Trackhouse are obviously the main ones in terms of new teams. But if we can get even more and we can get some old drivers or some drivers that are being left out to drive for a potential team that's going to be coming up for next season with the next-gen car, it's leading a lot of people to kind of be intrigued by it. Less funding, to having to go into starting up a team as well with the decreased cost for starting the car as well. So that's all an added bonus for NASCAR. That's what their entire goal was to achieve for this next-gen car. Get more manufacturers and get more teams, get more owners, get more sponsors, get more everything involved in the sport as it moves forward to the future. So this is only encouraging signs here with this report, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure. I was surprised the number that was that big because, of course, there's some names that you can look at and you can infer that they're probably involved. And you look at the likes of Colleague and those kind of guys that have been very vocal about being interested in acquiring a charter there. And so, yeah, it's extremely exciting. And obviously, you don't want to see any teams go away or anything like that.
Of course.
But there's some situations that you can look at and you can see where potential charters could come from. I know just off the top of my head, NASCAR has a provisional where if you finish bottom of the 36 charters for 3 consecutive years, NASCAR has the option to take that charter back. And I think the 51 Rick Ware has finished last in the 36 back-to-back years. So for example, if that's something that comes to fruition there, that could be a potential charter. You've got Spire that currently owns 3. They've got a couple on loan. Anything can happen there. So there's a lot still up in the air that we don't know about. Of course, last year we didn't expect Germain Racing, Levine Family Racing, and there was another one I'm probably forgetting. But there was a handful of teams that unexpectedly sold charters and whatnot. JTG as well. Unexpectedly lost their second charter. So there's tons of stuff that I'm sure will come to light as the year goes along, and excited to see how those kind of play out because all of a sudden in the past year, charters have become kind of a big thing. And before that, it was like Rick Ware was buying one and Spire Motorsports was buying one, and it was all kind of just backmarker stuff. Yeah. But over the past year, we've kind of had an influx of new interest, and that's very, very exciting to see going into the future.
100%. That does it with the news and notes for today's episode. Let's get into the previewing side of things here, Kyle. And before we get into the actual Cup Series preview itself, we'll start off with the Busch Clash, the qualifying, and then end it off with the preview. That's the big one. We got to get into the minor stuff. This stuff doesn't impact our season predictions. I hope it doesn't, at least. If you infer something to happen in the Clash, it's going to be the craziest thing for the rest of the season. We saw last season Eric Jones winning the Clash. and he didn't make the playoffs. So there's no real reference point from the Clash for the
year
results in the
before as
season.
well, Johnson won it, right?
Yes.
So
And he missed the
it's not a good omen to win the Clash.
Okay, maybe we'll take a step back on our prediction. I'm anticipating something similar here, maybe not, but let's take a look at the Busch Clash lineup.
Yep.
And my, oh my, what a way to draw it. Oh my God.
That was a train wreck.
Oh my God. Never do that again. If you're listening to this, NASCAR, anybody, please, I know I totally understand the times with COVID and social distancing and having to play it as safe as possible. But once this is all over and done with, can we please go back to the trackside format where at least they're on stage in front of the fans? And
why was it the crew chiefs?
Like at least, like, are the drivers that busy that they cannot hop on a Zoom call for 2 seconds to pick a letter? And the fact that P was number 1 for pole position sent me so far. I don't know if I've recovered yet.
You'd think the crew chiefs would be busier, but I don't know. That was just very strange and dumb, but oh well.
And it was on Facebook as well.
Let's talk about some racing instead. Yeah.
Let's look at the lineup itself. So we'll look at the 21 drivers competing for this thing on the Daytona road course. Let's not forget that. They've got the format change, 15 laps, and then I believe it's 25 laps.
It's like a 15-20, 15-25, something like that. I can't remember the exact number.
35 laps, so 15, 20.
Yeah, so 15 and 20.
Yeah, so a weird kind of format there in terms of what it looks like. But nonetheless, let's take a look at how the grid is shaping up. Brian Blaney on pole. He he drew the P for pole position, so he gets
for Roger Penske.
Yeah, Roger Penske gets the pole position for this one with Ryan Blaney. Alex Bowman in the number 48 gets second. Denny Hamlin third. Brad Keselowski fourth. William Byron fifth. Tyler Reddick sixth. Chase Elliott seventh. Obviously the favorite coming into this. Cole Custer eighth. Eric Jones ninth in the 43 car. Joey Logano 10th. Ryan Newman 11th. Matt DiBenedetto 12th. Chris Buescher 13th. Bubba Wallace. What? No, he's not.
That would be Ty Dillon then.
That would be Ty Dillon. My bad. When I was writing this down, I put 43. I put Bubba Wallace next to that one too. I'm having a brain fart today.
You're all over the place.
I'm all over the place. I think Bubba was in so many different cars, but Ty Dillon is in the number 23 because he had the eligibility for winning a stage this past season. Kurt Busch and Kyle Busch follow suit there in 15th and 16th respectively. Kevin Harvick all the way back in 17th. Martin Truex Jr. there alongside an 18th. Austin Dillon 19th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 20th. And Eric Almirola's qualifying luck from 2020 has gone wayside, it seems, for 2021. He's starting dead last for the Busch Clash when you're watching this later tonight. Very spread out grid. You got some big names starting in the back. You got some big names starting at the front. And of course, you've got Chase Elliott kind of in that front near pack, the defending champion. We're not just pointing him out because of that, but he's basically the road course king in the Cup Series right now. He's the odds-on favorite. But who do we have winning the Busch Clash, Kyle? There's, you can go a couple of different ways here. It's not on the super speedway this time. There's not going to be as much chaos. There's no practice or anything with this race as well, but there is the potential for rain tomorrow or today when you're watching this. 50% chance when I last checked. That could obviously change, but they do have wet weather tires on deck just in case. They do need to race this thing in the rain. Last time we raced in the rain was the Charlotte Roval this past season in the playoffs. And what do you know? Chase Elliott won that race as it went from the wet to dry conditions. He excelled there. So what are you thinking here for your winner of the Busch Clash to start off the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season?
Well, if it was still on the regular Daytona oval, I would have busted out the randomizer because that suited me very well the last time we were on a super speedway. That is not the case, though. It is a much more quote-unquote predictable race this time around on the Daytona road course. Hopefully we get a little sprinkle in there, a little bit.
I would love to see
Lightning,
some rain.
Stay away. I don't want to deal with that again. But a nice little sprinkle under the lights could be fun. I'm going to go a little bit different with the pick. I'm not going to make the obvious Chase Elliott, even though I am wearing the championship shirt. I was thinking back to the Daytona road course, and Denny Hamlin, of course, was the one that we all remember being close there in second. But for much of that race, Martin Truex Jr. was the main competitor in that race until they had a penalty, and that set them back, and they couldn't quite recover from it all the way. I'm going to say he gets a little bit of redemption here in the Clash. I'll take Martin Truex Jr. to win the Busch Clash, and hopefully that's not a bad omen for the season.
Okay, I'm going to go with Chase Elliott.
Yep.
I'm going to take it.
I thought one of us had to make the obvious pick. So.
I'm going to take the obvious one. If Truex was where Elliott was starting, then I probably would have had a similar thought process to you, but I don't anticipate Chase Elliott falling too bad.
Comp caution after lap 15, so it doesn't matter too much.
He raced in the Rolex 24. He's got the most amount of prep time for this race.
No, it's obvious.
If he doesn't win this race, something went horribly wrong for Chase Elliott, really.
Yeah.
He creamed the field the last time we were here at the Daytona road course.
I gotta say, though, does Chase Elliott have a legit shot at getting the Daytona triple? Nobody's ever done it. Win the Busch Clash, win their dual race, and then finish it off with the 500. There's been 3 people who have finished.
The quadruple? If they go back to the road course after that,
how about that? That'd be something. But there's been 3 people to finish first in the Clash, their dual, and then second in the 500. Nobody's finished first in all 3. Chase has got a pretty decent shot. I gotta say.
I don't think he does it, but
I don't think he does either. I
think he's got a good shot. Like it does make sense. You expect Hendrick to be strong on both sides of things with him on the road course and of course on the
don't sleep
super
on
speedway.
Hamlin either. I gotta say.
No, I know. Oh man.
Yeah, when I'm looking at the Clash, my order would go Elliott 1, Truex 2, Hamlin 3. We'll see how it plays out, but those are the 3 that I'm looking at to win it tomorrow night or tonight when you're listening to this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my top 3 being Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch. He ran well before he had the brake issues, but he was the second best car, I'd say, or third best to Truex after he had his issues. Kyle was keeping pace with him relatively close, 2 seconds at least there in the last race, and I think Kyle Busch could be someone to potentially keep your eye on. It's just that starting position.
You better hope he doesn't win it, because based off of the last couple of years, that's not going to be good sign.
I'd rather him not win it and that be the case. I don't care about the Busch Clash if it means that kind of detrimental season. But yeah, the Busch Clash, self-explanatory. It's just going to be nice to see cars back out on track, and we'll see.
So nice.
We're going to see what the conditions are for the races as well. I think Chase Elliott is the favorite in the dry or the wet, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. But don't sleep on Ryan Blaney either. He's a pretty speedy road course racer. If it was green to the end, I think he could potentially do something. But over that competition caution and everything, I don't know. If Clint Boyer was in the race as well, he could have been a sneaky shout. But
he was really good in the rain too.
As well, yeah. Busch Clash done and dusted there. We don't need to get into it much more than that. Let's get into the Daytona 500 qualifying predictions. Wednesday night, under the lights at Daytona on the high banks, 7 p.m. Eastern time. They moved it up a half an hour for the qualifying here. So we're going to look at what our front row is going to look like, as well as the 2 cars that are going to be making the field as the open entries on speed. 2 more cars will make it via the duels on Thursday. So I think we'll go back and forth with this. We'll go with the open entries first before we get into the actual pole sitter here, Kyle. Okay. Since you went first with the last one, I'll go first for this one. The no-brainer here, Austin Cindric. I have him making it in on speed, a Team Penske car, not affiliate. This is a Team Penske in-house car, the 33 car, Verizon sponsored for Austin Cindric, trying to make his Cup Series debut. And if he doesn't make it in on speed, something drastically wrong happened over his qualifying lap where he didn't get up to speed. But I think Austin Cindric is a no-brainer here.
Cindric is also in my top 2 on speed. And yeah, when you just look at it, it's obvious. It's as you mentioned, a Penske in-house car. So if they're not there, it means that probably Penske as a whole didn't have a lot of single car speed. But especially when you look at the fact that they'll need to put an emphasis on qualifying to make it into the show as well, it just seems like the easiest pick of the bunch.
Yeah, they don't want to risk having to go through the duels and something happening there for Cindric. They want to just make sure that thing is in on speed. It will be interesting to see how the conditions may vary from the past, because we are usually in the daytime at Daytona on the Sunday prior to if that has any effect on the setups with the speed. I'm anticipating it to be faster as well. So with the cooler temperatures, cars are going to be able to grip the racetrack. We'll see if we can get some pretty fast times, but Austin Cindric is the no-brainer there. Who have you got for your second guy to make the open entry field?
The second guy I've got making the field on qualifying time is Ryan Preece, and it's simply because of the Hendrick-powered JTG cars, especially because they'll be putting a lot of emphasis on qualifying, as will Austin Cindric. Last year, they led the field to the green with Ricky Stenhouse there, and I think they'll be putting a ton of effort into Preece's car to make sure that he gets into the field. Don't have to worry about the duels or anything like that, so Preece is my second open entry, making it to the field on qualifying speed.
Yep, I have Ryan Preece as well for this one. I was close. I was up in the air between Ryan Preece and Kaz Grol in the 16 for this one. Just because, the Colleague cars have done so well with the Super Speedway package in the Xfinity Series. If it was Justin Haley behind that car, I would think
last
otherwise.
Year as well,
but
they made the field on qualifying speed as well. They were one of the top two with Beard Motorsports last year, so they've got the precedence of being pretty speedy there as well.
Yeah, I went with Ryan Preece as for the things that you mentioned there.
Yeah.
He ran it actually pretty well in qualifying last year as well. So Hendrick, Daytona, qualifying, they all come together. They fit perfectly. I think those two are the favorites to make the field. We'll see what the front row cars do. David Reagan could be a sneaky one as well. Super good on the super speedways.
Right.
But,
that's an open entry this year.
We'll see if he can make the field on speed, but I'll be looking at him to probably race his way into the duels. I hope he does at least. I would love to see David Reagan in the field. But Cindric, Preece, it would be interesting to see who isn't. If it isn't one of those two, who would actually replace them in terms of speed on Wednesday night?
For sure.
Who have we got for the front row, Kyle? Second.
Let's start with second.
Of course.
And then build our way to the
Of course. And remember, the rest of the field is set by the duels, the finishing results of the duels from third throughout the rest of the field. It is just the front row. If any of these guys wreck in the duels, though, then they're going to a backup car and they're going to lose their starting place for the 500. They usually take the cautious approach for the duels if they do qualify on pole, not to scratch the car up. Why would you? I mean, that car is
And then there's
really
Stenhouse
fast.
last year who was just up front in its duel race the entire time.
Exactly. There's different mentalities throughout the field, but what have we got for second place here, Kyle, for the Daytona 500? Who's starting on the outside of the front row?
On the outside of the front row, I'm going Hendrick Motorsports, and I'm going the 24. I'm saying Willie B goes up on the front row, not pole, but he's shown very, very well at the super speedways. Of course, got his first career win in the regular season finale at Daytona. Hendrick is always inside the top 5 in qualifying speed, and I think William Byron will be on the front row, on the outside though, not pole.
All right. I do not have William Byron on my front row for the Daytona 500.
Okay.
I think Hendrick's going to be exceptionally strong in qualifying, as they usually do. They always put an emphasis on this. Doesn't necessarily always turn into the best result in the 500 for them, but they always go big for qualifying. And I'm going to stick with that theme. I think the defending champion, Chase Elliott, starts second in the Daytona 500. I don't think he quite gets pole. I'll save that one for the next one. But Chase Elliott, I think, is going to be right up there, qualified second second.
I think he was third.
I think he was third last year. He was third last year.
Last year was Stenhouse Bowman.
Yeah, Stenhouse Bowman, and then Elliott. I think he gets one position better this year. I think he gets second for the qualifying for the 500.
I like it. Alrighty.
Who have you got on pole, Kyle?
Bringing the field to the green flag on Sunday for the Great American Race is open entry Ryan Preece. I'm going bold with it. They got the Hendrick power. JTG was on pole last year, and this is a car that needs to make the field either through the duel or through qualifying pace. So last year they put the emphasis on Stenhouse's car for qualifying pace, and they were on pole. Preece was more in the middle of the pack. This year, they need Preece to make the field. Their best bet to do this through qualifying. They're going to put a hell of a lot of effort into that car through qualifying. So I'm going bold with it, and I'm saying the open entry Ryan Preece, 37, leads the field to the green flag on pole.
I can't. If this happens, oh my God. If you get this right, My mind will be blown, Kyle.
If I get this right, I might just buy a Ryan Priest shirt or something. I'm not
Holy
going to lie.
Holy smokes. For the guy that you were so down on last year, you have winning the pole for the 500.
Yeah,
oh
you
my
bet.
God. Wow. I did not see that coming.
I know.
Dude, that's pretty crazy. Mine is a little less extreme than that. It's going to be hard to top
Watch
that kind of
Priest not even
insanity.
make the field.
Oh, God.
Oh,
That would be brutal. My pole sitter for the Great American Race is Chase Elliott's teammate, Alex Bowman. Gets the Daytona 500
Yeah.
pole. Is always exceptionally good at qualifying around the super speedways. He's won the pole before. I think he does it in a new number this year in the 48. He gets pole position there for the Ally Racing number 48. Newly painted. It's going to be looking nice under the lights. Looking forward to it. We'll see how the Hendrick cars fare, but I'm going to go with an all Hendrick front row for the Daytona 500, Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott.
Yeah, I went wild with it, but you know, you got to get one bold pick in there, I guess. And
boy,
we'll see. We'll see how
ever?
it goes. Yeah, and maybe they put the emphasis again on Stenhouse's car, but I went bold with it. Hendrick power, baby. Hendrick power.
Fair play. I'm looking forward to seeing it under the lights and seeing how that
it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Maybe changes anything. Denny Hamlin is usually pretty strong in qualifying. Can he get up in the mix? He's usually the strongest of the Toyotas.
Yeah.
And if the Fords are actually going to show up to qualifying this year, they never usually do, but will they this year? Will they maybe make an emphasis on qualifying this year? I doubt it, just because of this package and how unpredictable it is and how easy it is to move up and down through the pack throughout the race. It's a long race, and the amount of shuffling that goes on. Track position isn't the most important thing. At the end of the day, it's finishing good in the duels and getting a good pick selection, because that can make or break some people's race in the 500 when there's green flag pit stops, or if they're under caution, you have the back markers coming in, trying to slide in, and then you make contact. That's always a possibility during any of the super speedway races, as is the case for many of the races throughout the season. But that's the emphasis for a lot of guys, and Hendrick usually puts the emphasis on qualifying on pole and making sure that they have a front row lockout. Last year it was not the case. We'll see if they can do it once again, or if JTG can go for pole 2 years in a row, as Kyle's predicting here, with a different driver there leading the field to the green of the Great American Race. So that does it for the predictions for the Daytona 500 qualifying. If you sticked around, thank you very much. Let's get on to the Cup Series 2021 season preview. Let's look through the categories, and then we'll look at the schedule before we get into our predictions. Right. Most wins. We're adding 2 new things for this one, specifically for the Cup Series. It's the big one. So we've got the underdog winner pick and where that will take place, and first-time winners, if there are any, and how many are there going to be, and where are they going to be collecting those wins as well. We're making it a little bit harder for ourselves with that part of the element, but if we get the actual winner right, we won't complain. Surprise driver of the year, biggest disappointment, bounce back driver of the year, rookie of the year. Not too many contenders for that one. I think it's only 2 for right now, if I'm not mistaken, between Chase Briscoe and Anthony Alfredo. And then we've got regular season champion, all 16 playoff drivers. See if we can get somewhere close to that with this insane lineup that we have coming into this season. I'm still not decided on mine yet. And of course, we've got the championship 4 and the champion of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. That's all coming up, but we have the schedule to look at here first, Kyle. It's going to be a drastically different schedule than what we are accustomed to seeing on the Cup Series calendar. Starts off with the Clash being on the road course. Of course, we've talked about that. Then, of course, the Daytona 500 this upcoming Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. It's going to be one heck of a celebration on that one. And then we've got starting it off in Daytona once again. We're staying down there with the Daytona road course. Remember, Auto Club Speedway off the calendar due to California COVID-19 restrictions and everything. So they've had to move that date into Daytona, into Florida, where we all know how they are handling the situation down there. If you watch the Super Bowl, you will understand how everything's going on down there. Ooh. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well on their Super Bowl victory. I have to point that out there because it really is the kickoff to Speed Weeks, as it is for many, many years now. And it's always nice to get that out of the way before the real things, the main thing really happens. NASCAR, Speed Weeks, everything like that. Then we stay still in Florida, but we move to a new track. Homestead Miami Speedway. Long gone are the championship finale days of Homestead Miami Speedway. It is the third race of the season, moving it up even closer to the beginning of the season now than ever before. Then they go out west for their 2-race stint. Not really the West Coast swing in this case for this season. Only Las Vegas and Phoenix there to start off the month of March. Then Atlanta Motor Speedway, Bristol Motor Speedway on the dirt here on March 28th. If you've seen the pictures, you understand that it is fully covered in dirt now. They're getting it ready. No comment on what we think on that right now. Then we've got Martinsville Speedway under the lights once again here in the spring. Going to be a fun one, nonetheless, on a Saturday night. Then we got the back-to-back with the triple kind of short track events, the Bristol Dirt. Then we've got Martinsville, then Richmond here. Check out our track grading list as well. The tier ranking. We ranked all these tracks, some higher, some lower. We've already mentioned some of them. Richmond being one of them, ended up in the average category. Let us know in the comments if you agree with that statement or not. We'll see if Richmond can kind of get back on track here for no pun intended there for the next year's tier maker. Then we've got Talladega there on April 25th. We've got Kansas on May 2nd, and then Darlington on Mother's Day. That is moving up with the throwback weekend being that weekend. Now it is no longer the not Memorial Day weekend, is it? Labor Day weekend. May 9th there at Darlington Speedway, getting 2 races once again on the calendar as well. So that's a nice added change. They went there 3 times last year. Let's not forget because of the COVID break. We've got Dover for its one and only race once again on May 16th. The Circuit of the Americas, one of the new big arrival tracks on the calendar this season, making its debut across all 3 series in the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series. On May 23rd, the Cup Series visits there on Sunday. Going to be a very fun race to watch at that facility there in Texas. We've got Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600 on May 30th. Memorial Day weekend for that one. So we've got that one correctly. It's the biggest day in motorsports. We've got Monaco, Indy 500, hopefully, and we've got the Coca-Cola 600. So hopefully that comes back into fruition this season with all 3 happening on the same day. That was definitely something we missed this past year. Sonoma was not on the calendar last season due to the delay in the season and COVID-19. So they are back on the schedule this season on June 6th. Then we go to Texas Motor Speedway as a bit of a weird date there, moving it a bit later on in the season here to June. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick.
That's the All-Star race, is it not?
We've got the All-Star Open and the All-Star race for that one. So it's a bit of an off date in terms of Texas Motor Speedway time, but it's only going down to 1 Cup Series race for points this season. We've got the All-Star race there with Texas Motor Speedway. Then after that, Fox ends their broadcasting schedule with the All-Star race there. Then Nashville picks it up there on June 20th with Nashville Super Speedway.
New track to start it off for NBC.
Going to be a fun one to watch there, see how Nashville kind of handles itself in its return to the sport. We'll see if the track leads up to expectations or if it exceeds or if it's definitely down in the dumpster. We'll see what happens with Nashville. Hopefully the Fairgrounds is the next Nashville track on the calendar for all forms of NASCAR racing. We've got Pocono here with the doubleheader weekend on the Saturday and Sunday, June 26th and June 27th. Then we go to Road America for the July 4th weekend, a bit of a shake-up there. It's been kind of all over the place over the past couple of years, and it's been Daytona, Indianapolis, and now it is Road America. We'll see how they handle that on the big network as well. It's an interesting time slot for them for Road America to get such a premium date on America's holiday, America's birthday. We'll see how that race lives up to expectations. The Cup Series has never raced at Road America, so we'll see how they handle that. Then Atlanta Motor Speedway there for its second date already on July 11th. So going back there in the hot summer months in Atlanta, Georgia, oh boy, it's going to be slick down there in that race. It's going to be a handful for the drivers.
Those poor tires.
Oh God, they're going to be shot after leaving pit road. They won't even get up to speed, and
they're going to need like 15 sets.
At least, you'd think. And then we got New Hampshire Motor Speedway on July 18th, and then we've got the summer break after that one, hopefully for the Olympics in Tokyo.
Hopefully.
With NBC getting that scheduling time there. They get a couple of weeks off. The drivers get to enjoy their summer breaks. They've been really wanting this for a couple of years now, at least, before NASCAR's changed the schedule this season. Then we come back with Watkins Glen returning to the calendar. Was not on it this previous season as well due to COVID-19. Fingers crossed come August 8th, my mom's birthday. Shout out to my mom. It's going to be there at Watkins Glen. Mom, you may have to get a little bit on the wayside on that day. Watkins Glen may take priority. It may take priority. Then we go to another road course back-to-back here with the Indianapolis road course. No longer on the famed Brickyard Oval circuit. We are going to the road course for the Cup Series. We'll see how that makes its debut. The Xfinity Series race on it last season
as well.
Crucial time in the calendar as well. We're getting down to crunch time here. Yep. The fourth and third final races before the playoffs start. The second to last race before the playoffs is on August 22nd at Michigan for its one and only date. Thank you for that one. Very well done on NASCAR on that part. And then we end the regular season, 25 races, comes down to the 26th at Daytona for the Oval, the big one. We saw the fireworks this past year, how it all ended up. Incredible season finale, regular season finale. I'm expecting something similar, especially with the schedule that we have this season. I'm sure it will go down to the wire with a few mere points as it shuffles in the final laps there. We were kind of deprived of it a little bit with the big wreck late last year. Hopefully that's not the case, so we get to see a photo finish maybe for that last final spot in on points for the playoffs. Then we start the playoffs on September the 5th. It looks pretty similar as it did last season, not going to lie. They made the shakeup last year. Yeah. Exactly. And Darlington kicks it off with a pretty great first round. Darlington, no longer the throwback weekend here, but still a great way to start the playoffs. Richmond and Bristol. Whew, what a round that is. Richmond, it depends on if it hits or misses this season. Hopefully it's a hit, and that can be the banger of the first round that we kind of were anticipating this past season. But left a little bit to be desired.
Worst nightmare of a round.
Exactly. Hopefully he can keep it together come the playoff time, and hopefully he doesn't actually fail pre-race inspection at Darlington to set himself up for a poor round. Then we move on to the round of 12, starting at Las Vegas on September 26th, going into Talladega and ending it with the Charlotte Roval as per usual this past season, staying intact. The only change to the playoffs this season is just a quick switcheroo here. Texas leads off the round of 8 on October 17th. Then it goes to Kansas as the third to last race and Martinsville as the final cutoff race, as it should be. The Xfinity 500 under the lights as it goes into the nighttime, as it is going to be in the fall. October 31st on Halloween. It's going to be a scary night for some of these guys to hopefully make it to that championship 4, and we'll see who ends up in Phoenix in that next week. Come the checkered flag at Martinsville, going to be another one as a much-watch event as the season winds down. Then we go to Phoenix for the championship finale on November the 7th. Phoenix, as the championship finale. But that's the schedule for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. Largely unchanged in the playoffs, but everything else for the 26 races looks a heck of a lot different.
Regular season is very spicy.
And it's going to make these predictions a heck of a lot harder with 7 road courses on the calendar this season. Going up from 3 to
Bristol
7 is
dirt,
a massive jump, and losing a Bristol race that we can maybe guarantee on who's going to be doing well. We have no idea who's going to be doing well around 250 laps around Bristol in the dirt. Oh boy.
It's going to be an asphalt race by the end of that thing.
Oh God, help me, Lord, give me strength. So this is making these predictions up in the air, at least for me. I'm sure for yourself too, Kyle, because there's nothing to go off of for a lot of these races. A lot of unknowns, a lot of wild races could be on the cards. Mainly the ones that we haven't seen. They're going to be having practice at the new tracks that we're going to as well, so that will be not as much of a freak show. A lot of new faces and new places too. Yes, we have quite a few new places and new places. A lot of driver movement, a lot of crew chief movement, a lot of different things over the off season and this past year that we had to keep track of. 2 new teams that are supposed to be competitive as well. A third as well at the back of the pack. Oh God, give me a headache, Kyle. This is too much. Too much. Okay. Let's get into the thing. Yeah. Let's get into the preview. The most wins. We'll start off with that. I'll let you go first because I've been talking for a little bit. But who do you have for the most wins of 2021? I think this guy is probably most people's pick to win the most races because there's a certain discipline that is
especially important this year with the 7 road courses. And of course, that's road course ability. And we've seen a couple drivers dominate on those the last few seasons. And that's obviously Chase Elliott, but Martin Truex Jr. as well to a lesser extent. When you look at Chase Elliott, everything kind of crescendoed last year to that final race. And you would expect them to take that momentum into this year and continue with it. So Chase Elliott is my winningest driver of the 2021 season. And I'm going to say he wins.
How many? That's the big thing.
I've been battling between 6 or 7. I'll go 6. I think we're going to get a little bit spicy on the road courses, a little bit more than maybe some people are expecting. So I'll say Chase Elliott wins 6, and that's the most this season.
Okay, fair play. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott as well with the most wins this season. You know, Kevin Harvick has kind of been the guy with that for the past couple of seasons, but Chase Elliott had a transformative 2020 season to end it off. And, you know, with the road courses, obviously his strength compared to the competition, but I think he also picks up some wins elsewhere at the other tracks this season. I don't think he's just going to be a one-man show on the road courses and just get them all there. Of course, he can't win every single one. That's just too hard to predict. He could, but realistically, something will happen in those races that will jeopardize Chase Elliott's hopes of winning that race. And, you know, they may experiment with 1 or 2 of them just to try something out, and it maybe doesn't work, but Chase Elliott has the most wins for me this season, and I'm going with 7 for Chase Elliott this season. I think he's going to win a boatload of races, man. It's going to be a touchdown worth and an extra point. Like, Chase Elliott is definitely the guy to watch this season, and I was kind of skeptical of this guy from, you know, coming up to the Cup Series, and I just didn't know if he was clutch. But, I mean, these playoffs in 2020, man, he proved me wrong, and I think quite a few people wrong. Obviously, his fan base were loyal to him from the very beginning, so I appreciate that. But Chase Elliott, I've got 7 wins for him this season. It's going to be close. I think there's going to be a couple guys maybe with 6 or 5, but I think 7 is going to be the win total to mark to beat this season.
I think overall the wins are going to be more spread out this season. When you look at the different amount of tracks and stuff, I would be very, very surprised if we get kind of the same thing we saw last year where a couple guys kind of run the show for much of the season. I hope
that's the case, because we want to see some competitive nature amongst the field and getting multiple wins for a lot of different drivers.
More 750 horsepower tracks as well, which is a big thing, because last year was kind of the 550 horsepower was dominated by a couple guys, and then the 750 was a different mix of people. So I do think that we'll see a more spread out grid this year, which is why my winningest driver only has 6.
Yeah, I went 7 just because if he wins,
I actually had 7 written down originally, but I said
I actually had an 8 originally written down, but I changed it to 7. I think like he could win like 4 road courses out of the 7, and then I think he could win 3 races elsewhere. But you know, it remains to be seen.
My mind, I went 3 and 3. So
yeah, that's a good good compromise there. We got hopefully he gets either one of us are right with that one. I could
easily see him getting 7 or 8 though, for sure.
For sure. I Chase Elliott, man, going to be one to watch for sure. Let's move on to the underdog winner pick, Kyle. This is a new one. This is a bit of an interesting one.
Yeah, this is one I tossed out there. So I can take the lead on this one, because I had a very specific person in a very specific race in mind when I thought about this one. So my bold underdog race winner pick for the year isn't a first-time winner either. I'm looking to the playoff Talladega race, and I'm going to say Roush Fenway wins that one with Chris Buescher. I'm going to say he goes out and gets his first true victory, because he had the Pocono fog race where he won that one. But realistically, that's not him going out and performing to win a race. So I'm going to say Chris Buescher has shown very, very well at super speedways. He's always been in the mix at the end in the top 5. Roush Fenway, they almost won the Daytona 500 last year, for crying out loud. They're always very strong at super speedways as well. I didn't want to go Super Bowl with it and say that he was going to make the playoffs on the win. But I'll say that he goes out and gets the Talladega win in the playoffs with Roush Fenway in that 17.
That's a good pick, Kyle. He showed well on the super speedways for over his entire career, really. I went with a little bit of an easier pick on this one. I don't know if you maybe see it coming for the underdog kind of winner pick here, but I'm going with Kurt Busch for this one, and I have a reason why. He doesn't win. He doesn't win a lot, and when he won at Las Vegas this past season, that was an underdog victory. He should not have won that race, but pit strategy won him the race. He got ahead on the late race restarts, and I think Kurt Busch could do it again. And I think it's going to come in the playoffs as well at Bristol. I think he can get to Bristol.
I love that pick. I love that pick.
Kurt Busch at Bristol.
Okay.
The Busch brothers.
Yeah.
I think he gets his. I think if I had to put it down, I think Kyle Busch finishes second again in this race, and the Busch brothers finish 1-2. But the reverse order this time around. We saw it at Kentucky, that crazy finish.
Right,
I think you can see something very similar here. Kurt edges out his younger brother and Kyle. I'm going with that as the Bristol. He won there.
I love that. Yeah.
In 2018, I believe it was. So with the banged up front hood and everything like that, with the silver bear bond on the front of it, I think Kurt Busch, if it is his final season, he's going to go out guns a-blazing. We'll see on that. But if it's not, I still think he goes out guns a-blazing this season. I think he makes the playoffs before this, and I think he gets the win at Bristol in the playoffs.
I do like how we both had playoff races as our bold underdog pick.
They always are crazy, man. There's always something going on, and I think Kurt Busch gets another win tally there at whatever nickname you want to call Bristol. There's so many, and it's going to be the actual Bristol race, the only one on the actual Bristol race track that is normal. I can't emphasize that enough. I think Kurt Busch gets it done and always does a great job around that place. So that's my underdog winner pick.
I love that.
All right, I'll take the lead on this next one here. I don't know how many you have for this one, but I have two.
Let's start with how many we have and then get into...
I have 2 first-time winners this season.
I've got 3.
Okay. I feel like there's usually a couple each season or something like that, and I think there's the makings of something like similar to that. I feel like we may have 2 of the same, and then I don't know what you've got for your third one. But I'll go first here with the first one, and we have the racetracks as well. Do you have that for where they think? Okay.
Oh, you bet I do.
Okay, I feel like I have some pretty good rationale for mine, but let's get into it. So first off, I've got Christopher Bell winning a race this season for Joe Gibbs Racing.
I do too.
The only reason Adam Stevens is the top of the pit box, and he's going to show why he is one of the best crew chiefs in the garage, and this lack of practice this past season was the only reason that Kyle Busch and Adam Stevens are parting ways. Christopher Bell is getting a snatch. He's getting a steal here with Adam Stevens. I don't know what the heck they're thinking over there at JGR. If you want to see me cry, go check out that episode where we saw that relationship break out. But Christopher Bell, and I think he's going to win before the playoffs start. I think he's going to win his way into the playoffs, and it's going to come at Kansas in the spring.
Ooh.
Christopher Bell won the race. He runs the wall exceptionally well. He was so good in the Xfinity Series at this track. He won his first career Xfinity Series race here at this track, and I think how poetic would it be if he replaces Eric Jones in the 20 car and gets the win in the 20 car at Kansas, where he beat Eric Jones in the 20 car to win his first Xfinity Series race back in 2017 in the number 18 car then for the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. I think it would be a great storyline. I could see Christopher Bell doing it. I think that 20 car is going to be on rails. Plus, Kyle Busch has run exceptionally well there at Kansas over the past couple of years as well. That setup, I imagine, will translate over to success for Christopher Bell. I think that could happen there that's my first-time winner. I think he goes in to the JGR stable and at least gets one win. Maybe he gets more, but I'm going with at least one.
I like that pick. I also have Christopher Bell winning. I don't have it at Kansas, though. I'm going to take him to win at New Hampshire. He won there twice in Xfinity. He was running there well with Levine Family Racing this year before it. I believe they had a tire go down or something like that, and they wrecked out because I think I had him in my fantasy lineup or something like that. I definitely remember him
You had a
doing
rough
well
luck
there.
with Bell this year.
I had some terrible luck with him. But the 2 wins in Xfinity stand out to me, and so I'm taking a swing there. I do like that Kansas pick quite a bit, but I'll take him to get that first win at New Hampshire.
I like that. Kyle Busch just ran well with Adam Stevens there as well. So you think that I was looking at that specifically for Christopher Bell. Where did Kyle run well? And then where can Christopher Bell kind of correlate his talents? Right. Exactly. Right. And I think those are both 2 great exceptions for that. I think New Hampshire is one that maybe people overlook as well. So we'll see if Christopher Bell can get it done. But I do think he wins a race this season. Me too. Yeah. I would be disappointed if he doesn't, to be honest. But, that 20 car, if it continues its historic run here with the number 20 card is maybe he doesn't get into victory lane, but hopefully Christopher Bell can change that. My second first time winner this season, you're going to like this one.
Okay, good.
Matt DiBenedetto gets in
Good.
victory lane this
Good.
season. Contract year. He's on the way out of Wood Brothers. I think he gets them there with 100th career victory as an organization. I think Matt DiBenedetto is going to get a win, man. I don't know. From last season, he finished second a couple of times on the mile and a half, but I don't see him winning it on a mile and a half this season. I think it might be just a little bit too tall of an ask for the 21 car to maybe outduel some of these other teams. So I'm going with Matt DiBenedetto to win one of the Pocono races this season.
Ooh.
I think he could get maybe that reverse grid kind of thing and potentially win there. I was so close between two racetracks here, and I just made the decision as I was talking. Road America and Pocono were the two tracks I was looking at. I thought Matt DiBenedetto ran well at Road America when he did some part-time stuff in Xfinity, but I just wasn't 100% certain on that because if there was maybe that lack of practice, if there was no practice, I would probably go with him there. But with the practice, I think some of the other guys can figure it out maybe a little bit better. He's not the greatest road racer, but he's decent. But Pocono, I think Ryan Blaney won there back in 2017 when he got the 99th win.
That would be
I think
poetic.
Matt DiBenedetto gets the 100th win at Pocono. I think he's run decently there over the past as well. Not too the numbers aren't too great, I think, but Matt DiBenedetto, I don't know. I got a feeling that Pocono could be the Wood Brothers playground this season, so I'm going to go with him to win one of the races. Whether that's the first or second, that's up to you.
I like it. I also had Matt DiBenedetto to win a race because, of course, I did. I had to.
Yeah.
I also was picking between two tracks and two very different tracks, I will say.
Okay.
The first one that I do not have him winning, but I really thought about, Sonoma, because it wasn't on the schedule last year. And that was kind of his first breakout kind of performance with the Line Family Racing there, when he got in the top 5 there. We didn't get to see what it would have been like last year when he was with more improved equipment. Sonoma is a very different road course as well. The Watkins Glen, we kind of see some different contenders in each of those. So I thought about giving him the shout there, but instead I'm going to say the redemption arc and that he wins the first Talladega race. It was so close for him there. And then the heartbreak of having the second place finish taken away and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy with my two Dega picks this year. The package has been nuts. The finishes have been nuts. So I'm going to take Matt DiBenedetto to win in the regular season at Talladega.
Very good pick there, Kyle. Bravo. I'm glad you stuck to your guns here with Matt DiBenedetto. But you have an extra one here. Who is your third first-time winner pick?
I want to ask you who you think it is. I think the two big ones that probably stand out as most likely are probably Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, and probably Tyler Reddick as well. Those are probably the three that you look at.
I was looking at Bubba Wallace and Chase Briscoe, but you can kind of add Tyler Reddick in there with Homestead potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to answer your question?
What one you think I'm going with?
Is it one of those three?
It is one of those three.
Okay, I thought you were going to be well, it's nuts. None of them.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I go with Chase Briscoe to win that Bristol dirt race. That's what I'll say that he could potentially do. But I think you've probably gone with Bubba Wallace, but I'll stick with Chase Briscoe here with his rookie campaign.
I am going with Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm not going to say where the race is yet because it's going to spoil a little bit for something later. But actually, no, I'll toss it out now because it's a little bit of a spicy one. I'm going to say Bubba Wallace wins his way into the playoffs at the regular season finale at Daytona. He's a great super speedway racer. He's a great super speedway racer. He's been in contention at Daytona multiple times. I'm not going to go crazy with it and say he wins the 500, but I'm going to say he wins that final race of the regular season. And just like last year with William Byron winning the race and making the playoffs, Bubba Wallace does the same. Wow. Those are my three.
Bravo, good sir. This is if your season comes to fruition, I am all on board. I will say that. This is shaping up, man. I like what you had there. I was so skeptical on the 23. I was like back and forth on if I could. But the thing is, I couldn't really name a track where I felt like the 23 may break through. That was my thing. But I think Bubba Wallace is capable. Whether he does that this season, a new team, I think it'd be
no clue for that.
One hell of a storyline, man.
I went for the storyline on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Very good one. Very, very good one. So that's the winners done. Let's look at what we've got for the surprise driver of the year. This is a fun one because it's not the bounce back candidate. It's the surprise one. Who maybe can be flying under the radar or who is not being looked at enough that can maybe be that guy that flies under the radar and gets a really good season underneath his belt. And do you want to take this one here first or?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first on the surprise driver. I'm going to go with somebody that I didn't have in my first time winners, but I think he's going to be very consistent all season long and be very close in that conversation for a playoff spot. And that's Tyler Reddick. I think that this year he's going to show even more. I think he's going to exceed Austin Dillon as well at RCR. And I think RCR is going to take another step there. We know about the Hendrick ECR engine alliance. I think they might take a step. And I think in an extremely close battle for the final playoff spots on points, I think Tyler Reddick is going to be leading the way in that charge. So I'm going to say Tyler Reddick, my surprise driver. I really thought about having him win that Homestead race, but Kyle Larson's coming back and he's in a Hendrick car. So that was a tough one for me to go out and predict. But Tyler Reddick, he had some bad luck at times last year. It kind of fell out of that playoff race as the season kind of winded down there in the last 5-6 races. He was in that playoff spot for a while, fell off at the end, had a unremarkable end to the season. I think he comes back stronger, really shows some of that prowess in his second year.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. My surprise driver of the year. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily as much of a surprise per se, but I think it's a guy it's just going to be, I think, really good this year. And it's the guy who's starting on pole for the Busch Clash, and it's Ryan Blaney. I'm going with him as the surprise driver of the year. He's so due for a multi-win season, snake-bitten last year. If he can get past that first round of the playoffs, watch out, man, because the rest of the playoffs, this guy is one to watch. Ryan Blaney is a guy that I think could go and do something similar to what Chase Elliott did last year. I think he may be that season behind, but I think they're very similar in terms of caliber of driver. Ryan Blaney, I think, as much as it pains me to say it for a Penske car, I think he's the one that's going to be leading that stable this season. I'm going to go as far to say that. I think Ryan Blaney is going to be really good this season. He's pretty decent on the road courses, but I think he kind of finally puts it all together at the end of the race and gets that final adjustment where I feel like he's just been lacking. He finally gets that chemistry there. Like Todd Gordon, after this, they're going to be their second season together. He's just going to build off of that momentum that they ended last season with, finishing 6th in that championship finale race as well. So right behind his teammates there, one of the best of the rest behind Jimmy Johnson. He was right there with the rest of those guys. Ryan Blaney is definitely my surprise driver of the year. I think he's going to really shock some people with how well he's going to be doing.
I'm a big fan of that pick. He's somebody that has been due for a while to finally kind of break through into that next tier. He's been kind of in between that like top 8 and kind of the rest of the field for a little bit. 6th to 11th range. Exactly. And I feel like, this could definitely be a year where if he just finishes better, if he has some better luck, gets a couple wins on some mile and a halves, maybe if he picks up another win on super speedways, he might start the year with a win, for crying out loud.
Look how close he was last year.
Exactly. He's a very strong pick. All depends on if he can get through that first round, which is a really rough one for his skill set. If they don't have that penalty, he probably makes it through and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of that Ryan Blaney pick.
Thank you very much. I'm happy you agree with me there. I'm happy with your Tyler Reddick pick.
We've been very positive, but it's time to get a little bit negative, I do believe.
It is that time of the episode, the biggest disappointment, the honor nobody wants for the upcoming season. This is a tough one for me. I struggled with this one before the episode started. I did not have a person in mind because, I mean, from this past season, I don't think he could have predicted.
You're a positive guy.
I don't think he could have predicted who the biggest disappointment was, and that was Kyle Busch. Like, it was clearly him last season, and I'm not afraid to admit that. He was disappointing for at least 34 races last season, apart from that Texas race really last season. There were some bright spots, of course, but a lot more lowlights than what we're accustomed to from Kyle Busch. So that's the biggest disappointment overall from last season before the preseason stuff that we could never have predicted. But my biggest disappointment for this upcoming season is Ross Chastain in the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Good pick.
I really don't think he's quite there yet. He didn't win the Xfinity Series, and he fell short in that Truck Series bid for the championship. Had a great season there, don't get me wrong, but last season was very disappointing to my standards. I expected him to really crush that series last season, and he was very consistent, but he didn't get that win. And those wins really count towards the success to the next level. We saw that with Daniel Hemrick. He was super consistent in the Xfinity Series, but it never generated to the Cup Series level. It's a little bit different. RCR was a lower standard of equipment back then, of course, but that's just the comparable I look at with Ross Chastain. Plus, that 42 car has, if it didn't have momentum, it didn't have anything at all. That car was trash last season. Matt Kenseth, I feel so sorry for him last season on what he had to deal with. Like, it was just a poor situation he was thrown into. I mean, he signed up for it technically, but I don't think he really knew the gravity of the situation over there for that 42 car and how bad it was going to be. That lack of practice didn't help. And I think that lack of practice does hinder that 42 car once again. I think Kurt Busch is going to be really that guy, the consistent guy this season. And I don't think Ross Chastain is the greatest road racer as well. And that's going to take a lot of skill throughout the regular season for him to be in that bubble mix. And he's going to have to compensate for maybe that lack of skill, because we know the road course ringers in the Cup Series. And we have some guys that potentially comes in here on part-time basis. Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, those guys can most likely be there on the road course, taking away from guys that are looking to get those points. I think Ross Chastain is definitely a candidate here for biggest disappointment. I couldn't go with any of the big guys because I feel like it's just too hard to predict something like that. So I went with a guy that's a bit of a bubble guy on the verge of maybe making it or something like that. But I think Ross Chastain, if it wasn't clear enough, I don't think he makes the playoffs this year. So he's my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, the 42 was a perennial playoff car with Kyle Larson, and we saw last year it fall very much back down to earth. And I think Kurt Busch as well is an underrated driver that exceeds the level of Chip Ganassi.
Gets the most out of the car.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do have some concerns for Ross Chastain coming into the season. I also don't have him making the playoffs. I think it's more of an expected thing for him this season, just given where the 42 was last year, maybe more of a build it back up kind of year. But absolutely, I think that that's a very strong pick. When I looked at it for myself, it's kind of tough to make this pick after what happened this past weekend with Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl, because I'm going with the Florida boy, Aric Almirola. I think that this is a very, very strong crop of drivers this season, a lot more competitive cars as well. And when I'm looking at it here, the way the schedule breaks down, especially in the regular season, not an especially good road course driver. SHR as a whole hasn't been good outside of basically Clint Boyer at road courses these last few seasons. I think Almirola is going to take a big hit there. And as we've talked about many times this over the past year, Aric Almirola basically benefited the most from the qualifying draw last year because he was up in the top 12, and he basically stayed in the top 12 because he was getting a ton of stage points because of those qualifying draws.
Ridiculous.
He could very well go out and win the Daytona 500, punch his ticket through to the playoffs, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm just looking at it here. I'm looking at the rest of the field, and I think Almirola is a very average driver. SHR hasn't been good on road courses, and I think that could culminate in something where he misses the playoffs for myself. So I'm going to say disappointment, Aric Almirola.
Very good pick. He was my second option. I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah,
it also kind of plays into my silly season prediction where I said that he was going to lose his seat.
Makes total sense.
If you want to know who I had replacing him, go watch that video because it's up on its own as well on the channel. So go check that out. But yeah, Aric Almirola, it pains me to do it because he seems like a very nice guy, very likable guy. But I just think his time is kind of up at SHR, and this season might be a little bit more disappointing than it is promising.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I think the road courses are definitely not his strength, and that's a large majority of the regular season. And
it's a huge chunk now. So
yeah, and it's going to come down to a lot of driver ability here to get those points. And you know, maybe he'll get 2 races together out of the 6, but you're going to need at least 4 to put it all together and then still have enough to compensate for that lack of speed that he usually has on the other kinds of tracks. So that's a really good pick there, Kyle. Biggest disappointment, Aric Almirola and Ross Chastain for the both of us. So,
okay, let's get back to the happy times.
Let's get back to the happy times. And I'm pretty happy with this next one here, but you have the first one here with the bounce back driver of the year. Who have you got for this award for 2021?
I was harsh on this guy when we did our driver grades for the to recap last season. You were much more positive about him, but I had higher expectations going to last year. They weren't fulfilled. It was kind of a stagnant year, maybe a little bit lesser, but coming into this year, I think he showed a lot more promise as the season went along, and I think he's going to have a pretty surprising big year. Bounce back driver for me, Willie B himself, William Byron, the 24 Hendrick car, I think he's going to pick up a couple of wins in the regular season. I think he's going to surprise and get a win at a road course as well. He's been a very sneaky driver on road courses. I think he's going to be big this season. I don't know how deep he goes in the playoffs per se, but he also had some bad luck in that first round, having that weird crash that we didn't see a replay of at Bristol that knocked him out. I think think back a couple of years ago when he made it all the way to the round of 8, was it? Like they had a very, very strong season then.
Yeah.
Kind of stagnated last year, where he was very much on that upward trajectory. Last year wasn't as good. This year, I think he gets back on track and has a big season.
Yeah, that's a really good pick there, Kyle. Oh man, that's a really good pick.
Thank you.
I mean, it's self-explanatory who I'm going with. Like, my bounce back driver of the year.
I really thought about him.
It's pretty simple. It's Kyle Busch, man. He's got to bounce back this season. There's no way he continues with that incredibly poor pace that he had last season.
Wow.
I'm
kidding.
I'm skeptical of the crew chief change, of course, but I think driver talent, having those select practices throughout the season as well, getting a lot of different seat time across all 3 series throughout the season is going to bode well for Kyle Busch. Oh, man, I really hope he does this, man. I don't know if I can go through another season of heartbreak and basically torture that this past year was. I think he's going to be really, really good. He's a super underrated road course racer. He's always in the mix. He does usually bite himself in the ass at a lot of occasions on the road courses when he gets too aggressive. Something goes wrong, speeding penalty, tire violation, something happens with him, and then he has to drive through the field like a maniac, and then, the car is beat to crap by the time he gets to the front. So it is a bit of a mixed bag of results for Kyle Busch on road courses, but talent alone, I think he'll have a little bit more of a level head this season. If he can start off more positive, then he'll have a better mindset moving throughout the season. That frustration really carried out throughout the rest of the season. So we saw some poor results for him at times, but this is the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series champion. And there's no way that Kyle Busch goes through another season like this. And when I look back at the previous seasons where he struggled similarly to this, 2012 one win, 2014 one win, he bounced back with multi-win years the next year. 2014 to 2015, he won the championship, for God's sakes. 2013 from 2012, he had a great season that year as well, was in championship contention throughout the season. So I think something similar happens to Kyle Busch this season. Maybe he gets another spark lit underneath him here. Like I said earlier, he felt like he had been fired and rehired during the offseason. Maybe that sparks something within Kyle Busch, and I'm really hoping that he's going to be bouncing back this season. There's a lot of good candidates for bounce back driver of the year. It depended on if Kyle Busch wasn't here. Of course, I'm paying a little bit of fan favorite here, but I was really looking at Martin Truex Jr. as well as my other bounce back driver of the year, just based off of the 1-win season last year, missing that championship 4. He's due for a bounce back as well. I think Toyota as a whole from that JGR stable, I think you can expect some pretty good things for them across the entire 3 series. We've talked about that quite a bit over the 3 previews here. So I'm going with Kyle Busch as my bounce back driver of the year.
It's a great pick, and it all depends on how the crew chief kind of meshes there, but you can't imagine that he'll only have the 1 win. Again, that'd be pretty nuts. I'm expecting at least 2 wins, probably closer to 3 as well for him this season, and who knows how deep he goes again in the playoffs. The playoffs, based off of his skill set, of course, we know how well-rounded he is, but the playoffs do look pretty good for him when you look at multiple
second round
races.
Is still
like that second,
shaky, but
the second round is the shaky one, but outside of that, you look at those rounds and you're like, he can win basically any of those races. So fantastic pick. I don't know how deep he goes yet. I'm still thinking about some things, I'll say that. But Kyle Busch, excellent bounce back pick.
Yeah, for sure. I've got the first one here. It's the easy one here with Rookie of the Year. It's pretty straightforward. Chase Briscoe gets this award this season. I'd be shocked if he doesn't, if Anthony Alfredo pulls a worldie and gets Rookie of the Year honors. But it is a one-man show, really, for this one this season, unfortunately. Chase Briscoe, the big one, moving up from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series. The prominent role replacing Clint Bowyer in the 14 car. For Stewart Haas Racing, won nine races last year, was the odds-on favorite to win the championship. Phoenix just isn't the racetrack for him to get the job done in the end of things on this one-off format, so he didn't quite get the honors of hoisting the championship trophy, but I think he'll have the honors of hoisting the Rookie of the Year trophy. So I'm imagining you have the same here.
Yeah, it would be much more interesting if Ross Chastain was technically a rookie, but of course we know how many Cup starts he's made for backmarker teams over his career, so he does not count. And so Chase Briscoe, he's the easy pick. Better team, performed better last year. Yeah, it's the easy one, Chase Briscoe.
Yeah. Okay. Regular season champ, Kyle, before we get into the big stuff with the playoff drivers. Regular season champ is a little bit of a tricky one this year. In this series specifically, there's a lot of different ways you can go. It's just the road courses that I'm really looking at as the big determining factor here in terms of getting that regular season championship, because it is 6 of the 20 or 6 of the 26, so 20 other races left for these guys to try and make up for that lost ground, maybe that they don't get on the road courses. But you go first with this one. Who is your regular season champ for 2021, getting those additional 15 extra playoff points?
Your 2021 regular season champ was also your 2020 full-time champ. Chase Elliott gets the regular season championship. Just when you look at the schedule breakdown, how heavy the road course load is there. When you look at guys like Kevin Harvick that are probably your big contenders,
yeah, that's the thing.
That's going to be a big hit.
He's
and that's
not good
even
on road
including
courses.
the 2 super speedways as well that are hit or miss in there as well. I thought about Denny Hamlin for this one. I think that's probably going to be the 2 that you look at for this one, but I'm going to go with Elliott here.
I'm going with Chase Elliott as well, but I was going with the different Gibbs guy. I was looking at Kyle Busch as the regular season champion, because of the wide range of talent that he has. He's my bounce back guy, but Chase Elliott, I think, is the no-brainer. It's just, he just goes across the board and just single-handedly kind of is so consistent on every form right now, and it's hard to bet against Chase Elliott. I mean, something could drastically change here, but I think that ECR and Hendrick alliance this season as well will bode well for them to start the regular season here. We saw that come to fruition a little bit in that championship finale on how that all worked out. I think something similar to that can help him out this season. But the 750 horsepower package on more races this season, I think bodes well more for Kyle Busch, just because of how well he ran back in 2018 when that kind of 750 horsepower package was there. So I'm looking at him to really bounce back, but Chase Elliott is the guy I think across the board that will do the best across all forms of tracks to the regular season. So there we go. Gets the clean sweep. He gets the most wins from both of us, and he gets the regular season championship. Will he be the champion, though? That is remain to be seen. Stay tuned for that. But this is the big one. 16 drivers. I have 1 spot left right now, and I'm still up for grabs for that 16 spot. But 15 guys, I think, will be somewhat in line with about at least 13 of them, I'd say. And then maybe those last 3 are up for debate, depending on how you want to look at it. But
probably close to that, yeah.
All right, let's start it off here. Chase Elliott, of course.
Yep, Chase Elliott, a regular season champion, does make the playoffs.
Yep. 3 episods in a row makes the comment. Gotta keep me honest.
Gotta keep it consistent. Gotta keep it consistent.
You gotta look at it. Then we got Kevin Harvick. Yep.
Joey Logano. If you don't have it, there's something big happened. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Joey Logano. Yeah.
Joey Logano. Kyle Busch.
Yes.
He makes the playoffs this season.
Yes. Right? Yes, he does make the playoffs. Yep.
Denny Hamlin.
Yep.
Alex Bowman.
Yep.
Brad Keselowski.
Yep.
All right. You take the rest here with what you have for certain.
Okay. Ryan Blaney.
Yes.
I'll go back to Hendrick Motorsports. William Byron.
Yes, I have him making the playoffs.
Okay. I'll skip the other one for now. Martin Truex Jr.
Yes.
Okay. And then, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. Kyle Larson.
Yes.
Okay. And then
I will say on Larson, I think he's going to have a little bit of a poor season than what people are making him out to be. I think people are getting a little bit too high on him, and he's not the greatest with this 550 horsepower package. He's going to be better with the 750 horsepower package.
I think we're going to have some high highs and some relatively low lows.
He's not the greatest road racer. He's good on qualifying, but that doesn't matter this season. Yeah,
it's not going to be a consistent thing. It's going to be either like winning a race or like top 5, or I think some disappointing results. And so, I think he grabs a win or 2 throughout the season. But I don't know about the consistent level. This is the 48 car, everybody. This is the 48 car that missed the playoffs the last 2 years. So, yes. I mean, we can't put too much stock into Kyle Larson. Of course, he's a phenomenal race car driver, but I just want to
push the brake, pedal the brakes a little bit here, just so you don't get too high on Kyle Larson. The expectations are unachievable for this guy.
I think from here it gets interesting because you've got some cars that have some new faces and new places.
Okay.
That might have missed the playoffs last year or anything like that. There's some guys that made the playoffs last year that might be closer to the edge this season. So I think from here, let's go back and forth.
Okay, so we've got Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., and William Byron. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is
there should be
11.
2, 3, 4, 5 more. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just move my things around so it's in order.
Okay. So I'll take the first one, and it's one or there's a couple that I've already spoiled from some winner picks, but I'll start with somebody who made the playoffs last year, won a race in the playoffs.
Yes.
They're the leader of the team. I think they'll be very strong again. I don't think that they'll win a race in the regular season, but I think they'll make it on points, and that's Kurt Busch.
Yeah, I have him making the playoffs. I have him winning a race in the playoffs. I think he can maybe get 2 wins this season. That may be a bit tough to ask, but I think he's just the super consistent guy. And I've got Kurt Busch as my 12th guy making the playoffs.
Yeah, the consistency is the big part. Yeah,
exactly. 13. I've got a guy that I think is going to win this season. Like you said, it's a guy we both talked about, Christopher Bell. I think he's going to make the playoffs this season. As the season went on last year, you can see the confidence building for Christopher Bell in the 95, and I think that kind of translates into success for the 20 car. He could definitely be the surprise driver of the year as well for me. I think he could be a candidate for that. Adam Stevens, man, I'm telling you, he got one heck of a steal with this crew chief, and I think that's going to bode well for Christopher Bell in his first year at JGR.
For sure. Alrighty. Somebody else that I said would win a race earlier, Matt Benedetto. I think he makes the playoffs again. I think they build on last season and look better. Maybe in terms of consistency, they kind of fell a little bit short as the regular season went along and had a disappointing first round. Rebounded a bit after that, but I think that they have some higher highs this season.
Yeah, I have Matt Benedetto. I have him winning a race this year as well. So that's 14. These last 2 spots. So we're the same through 14. Yeah. We know one of your guys because of what you said a little bit earlier on.
Yes.
So it's whether or not you have this guy that I have locked in right now. I'll just say my 15th guy right now, the guy that I'm for sure. I'm going with Chase Briscoe as my 15th guy this year to make the playoffs. It's going to be so marginally close for him to make it. I could totally see him missing, but that 14 car has been consistently in the playoffs and on points. He's a good road racer. If he wasn't, I would definitely have him out of the playoffs. But Chase Briscoe, if he can continue that strong success, that 14 car is good on road courses. I think it makes sense for Chase Briscoe to excel on that. That Bristol dirt as well is always a wild card. He could do something with that and potentially win there and lock himself in. Not to say that Bell or Larson or even Briscoe are the 3 favorites for sure going into that, but yeah, I think Chase Briscoe is going to make the playoffs in his rookie season. I think he could be an impressive guy to watch. Could it be, hit or miss on some things, but the tracks that he was really good in the Xfinity Series, I think, translate over to the Cup Series.
I do not have Chase Briscoe in my playoffs here because he's a rookie. And let's not forget that rookies typically struggle quite significantly in the Cup Series. We had 3 big-name rookies step in last year. We all had high expectations for them, and they all struggled to different degrees. Christopher Bell was in the worst equipment. It would have been tough for him to make the playoffs unless that team saw a big jump in competitive level. We didn't see that. You can kind of push that one to the side. For Cole Custer, he won a race, but outside of that was nowhere near playoff quality. And for Tyler Reddick, he was consistent, but wasn't consistent enough, and he missed the playoffs as well. When I look back at some of the Rookie of the Year guys as well, Custer won the race, but finished 16th, bottom of the playoff guys. Past that, nobody else since 2013 made the playoffs except for Chase Elliott, who did it on consistent performance. I don't think Chase Briscoe was kind of that level. So, and especially in a tough year, I really wanted to find a way to do it. But as a rookie, I just couldn't do it. So Chase Briscoe misses out for me.
Imagine if this was 12 drivers, Kyle. We would be
Oh
absolutely
my
screwed
God.
if this was trimmed to 12. We'd be in a world of mess. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah, we
is
would.
tough. This is tough. And 16 is a
Yeah.
lot of drivers to make the playoffs, and this is
Yeah.
this
So
is
I'll
going to the last
go
spot.
with my guy that we already know that I haven't, and that's Bubba Wallace. I think that they'll be close on points going into that final race. They'll be in the conversation. And I think that they'll go out and win that Daytona race. I'm going bold with the storyline, but there's also a couple other races that they've got a shot at winning throughout the season, whether it's the super speedways, whether it's Martinsville, which Bubba Wallace has been extremely, extremely strong at. I think that they're going to be consistent throughout the year, maybe build as the season goes along, as you would expect for a new team. I think the 550 mile and a halves are going to be where they struggle a decent amount.
Boy.
He's not great on road courses either, but I think he's going to get a win at some point and book his ticket to the playoffs.
Oh my God!
It's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick. Oh my God!
That's the one. What I'll say is that's the one that I feel least confident about.
Well, I don't know who my 16th guy is right now, so I'm very least confident.
Go with my number 16 guy and throw it over to you afterwards.
You know what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
He's my surprise driver of the year because he makes the playoffs on points. Tyler Reddick makes the field as the number 16 guy here for me. I think that RCR is going to see another uptick in performance. I think they're going to have another car in the playoffs. Last year was Austin Dillon because of the win. This year, I think Reddick takes another step in his second year here and is very consistent, has some really high points. I'm looking at Homestead as potentially a race that he could go out and surprise and win. Tyler Reddick makes the field as number 16 for me.
Oh my God. I am so torn right now. There is 3 guys I'm looking at for this final spot.
Talk me through it.
Eric Almirola, Bubba Wallace, and Tyler Reddick are my 3 guys right now I'm looking at.
Okay.
The thing is, all of these guys are pretty bad on road courses, and there's no guy that is kind of in that point situation that is really good on road courses, and that's the dilemma that I'm facing. And I never thought that it would come down to the road courses being the defining factor here for making this 16th spot, but that's why I went with Briscoe for those road courses.
Yeah.
And Almirola, Bubba Wallace, man, like that's almost a 5th JGR car. Like, it's so hard to think that they may not make it.
We don't know. It could be something that's closer to Levine Family Racing in year one, and they build as the season goes along, or it could be literally a 5th GGR car out of the box. We have no clue.
I think it's going to happen sooner. It may not happen right out of the gate, but I think by race 10 they will be closer than what Levine gets to the end of the season.
That's a lot of time to miss as well, especially with the road courses, which he isn't good at. Like, I don't know, man. Where are you going? We need a pick here, sir.
I'm going to make my decision here. I don't think it's Eric Almirola that makes the playoffs this season. I think similarly that he is going to be a bit disappointing this season. Oh, my God. You know what? It's such a big storyline. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace as my 16th guy.
Okay.
It was between Reddick and Bubba Wallace for me. If that ECR package does come together, then Reddick, I think, is going to be more of a favorite than Bubba Wallace because I think Reddick may be a better driver than Bubba. But I think Bubba's got a lot to prove this season, and he's got a lot of expectations on his shoulders, and that momentum that he built from last season, that hunger that he has, not just because he has DoorDash and McDonald's as a sponsor, but he's going to have Bubba Wallace going to be a guy it's just going to be behind the wheel and just going for it. I don't know if he wins a race. I think he can maybe point his way in. I think it's a bit too much to ask to maybe win, but we'll see on that. So that's my 16 guys. So one difference between the two of us and 16 guys. That's actually closer than I thought it would be. But with these guys coming in this year, there's no real weak spot in those big organizations, it seems, compared to previous years. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I think if I were to make one change for it, I would say Bubba Wallace doesn't get the win. They don't point the way in, and I'd have Briscoe in there. Instead, Briscoe's my number 17 guy. But in total from last year, I have Austin Dillon, Cole Custer, Eric Almirola, and then the 14 car, which was Boyer last year. Briscoe this year missing out from playoff cars from last year. And in their place, I have Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson.
All right, I'm going to have to do the math on what I just had. Okay, so I have Christopher Bell making it this year in the 20 car because
so you've got
Almirola missing, Cole Custer missing, Austin Dillon missing, and no, that's 3. And then I have Briscoe making it, so I've only got 3.
So you've got the 3 there: Dylan, Custer,
And
Almirola missing
Larson for the
from
48
last
as
year.
well.
Yeah. And then Larson, Bell, and Wallace stepping in because the
Briscoe,
14 car,
technically
new driver, but same playoff car. So
yeah, I think
Alrighty.
I doubt that it's going to be the exact same, man. There's totally some movement on the cards. Let's not forget some other guys that could potentially make it as well. We've got some interesting names that could make it. Ross Chastain, Eric Almirola, of course. Almirola is a big one to kind of miss out on, but he's pretty trash on road courses, so that doesn't bode well for him this season. And the 1.5 mile package for that 10 car is just kind of lackluster at times as well. So we'll see on that. Cole Custer's an interesting one. Maybe he can have a better sophomore season, but a win is going to be a bit unlikely compared to with the talent.
He needs a big step up if he's going to make it in on points or anything like that. And I didn't see enough from him in terms of like any specific performance outside of a final restart at Kentucky that would suggest that winning a race again this year would be likely or anything like that. So that one was a pretty easy one for me.
Yeah, and the RCR duo of Reddick and Dylan. I think either of those guys can make it. Dylan
I think one of the two make it. Yeah,
always has a flair for the dramatics in terms of getting a win here or there. If he gets another crown jewel, I wouldn't put it past him just because of how frequently he does it, it seems, on such off strategies. Yeah. I think it was so difficult for me to not put an RCR car in there just because of this added alliance with Trackhouse, and I think that there's projection there to them to get back to a little bit similarly to better days, what the organization was used to. It's just difficult with that 5th JGR car is what I'm looking at it as. Maybe that doesn't actually come to fruition and I could just be way off. But Reddick and Dylan. Then you could look at the Roush Fenway duo, Newman and Busher. They're both pretty good on the super speedways. You have
Busher is underrated on road courses as well.
Yeah. For sure. And then Daniel Suarez as well, kind of tying in with that ECR selection there with RCR. He could be one that can maybe sneak something. You never know. I just
don't know what to expect from Trackhouse. Like if I knew that they were going to be close to RCR level, then I think about him as well. Because again, he's a guy that's got a well-rounded skill set as well. But I just couldn't bet on them not knowing what to expect from that team.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on a super speedway as well could definitely do something. Eric Jones is another one. Maybe he can surprise something in that 43 car. And I know you have another guy as well to your short list.
Yeah, I've got a very interesting name there. And obviously we mentioned Ryan Newman as well, who equally could go out and win a super speedway.
He was a couple of feet away from winning it last year.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Michael McDowell potentially going out and surprising on a road course. We've seen in the past some teams put a lot of emphasis. Yeah, put a lot of emphasis on the road courses for some of those mid-pack teams. Think JTG with AJ Allmendinger is the big one. Michael McDowell is sneaky good on road courses, and especially with Road America being added, that's one of the better road courses that he's been at, especially when you look back to Xfinity. Don't sleep on that guy at road courses. They're going to have to swing big at some point. Maybe they don't go out and get like the stage points or anything like that and have big a points day, but I think they'll be in the conversation inside the top 10 a couple times at road courses this year and potentially in position to maybe steal a win.
That's a good one. He impressed last season. He had his best season in the Cup Series to date, and maybe he continues that into 2021. Sure. All right, we're into the final ones here, Kyle. Championship 4 and the champion for 2021. Oh, boy. Let's go back and forth here because you really can go 4 different guys for this, to be honest, for this entire championship 4. Nothing's for certain. If it wasn't clear, this past year was as clear a case as any with Kevin Harvick missing out on that championship 4 after the abomination that happened at Martinsville where they just completely missed the setup. The strategy was wrong, and the guy that dominated the entire season did not have a shot at going for the championship after collecting 9 wins on the season. It's crazy to think that he did not make it. Seemed like the impossible task, but he ended up making it possible. So does something actually similar happen this season? Let's find out. So what have you got for your first?
Before I dive into some of my picks, I just want to give some background to how things have gone since we've had this championship 4 format. It's kind of crazy when I looked at this, actually. 4 times out of the 6 since that inaugural season, only 1 championship 4 driver from the previous year returned. 2015, only Harvick returned. 2016, only Kyle Busch returned. 2017, again, only Kyle Busch returned. And then this past year, only Denny Hamlin returned. The 2 other times, 3 of the 4 returned. In 2018 and 2019. 2 of the times there, 3 of the 4 returned. So it's kind of either been like
Feast
one
or
guy
famine.
returns and nobody else, or a bulk of them return. And honestly, I don't know which way to go. I'll be honest, I split the difference. I'm going to say 2 from last year return and 2 new ones are in there. So I just want to give that precursor as well. It's a little bit of history.
Okay, then I might as well give mine as well then.
Yeah.
I've got 1 returning and 3 new.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with the one that I think you have returning.
Okay.
And I could be wrong on this, but Chase Elliott.
Yes.
He's going to pick up a lot of playoff points from those road course races. I think he's going to be strong in the playoffs as well. He was my first name down in my championship 4.
Yeah, I've got Chase Elliott as well.
Wow. Okay.
He's my only guy that stays the same this year. I think that those 3 guys that were partnering him last year, it was that off year that we've seen a couple of times where the big dogs like Harvick and Kyle Busch and Truex and some of these guys were not there. And that's usually the case for a one-off season. And I think that trend continues. So I'm going with Chase Elliott as the guy, the defending champion, has a chance to reclaim his trophy and defend it.
Well,
you sir, go next?
Take your next one and we'll see if it's okay. So I have 1 name written down, I have 2 more names written down, and then I don't know who my last one is going to be quite yet.
Okay.
So I'll just say that.
I am the same. I have to be honest. Okay. I have to be completely honest. Okay, so my next guy is going to come from the Joe Gibbs Racing stable. I think he has a bounce back season this year. I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. to make the championship 4. Okay. I think he wins that last Martinsville race and gets redemption for this past year. He's super good there. I think he's going to be second to Chase Elliott on the road courses so he can get some stage wins there. If they prioritize that strategy this season, they didn't do that last year. I think they'll refocus that narrative and that the goal of trying to get some stage points this year to carry some playoffs through to the playoffs. Yeah. I think that they'll be looking at that a little bit more this year on a consistent basis. Martin Truex Jr. is due for a bounce-back season. I like the playoff races for him. I think a mile-and-a-half resurgence is due for that 19 car. He's in a contract year. Usually athletes do well in a contract year. I think Martin Truex Jr. makes it to the championship 4.
As painful as it is for me to do, I'm going to say MTJ is out in the round of 8. I don't have him making it through again. I think last year with James Small, I think they probably build on that this year, but I don't know. There's something about it. I just don't feel it this year. So I'll go to somebody that I know you don't have because they were in it last year, and you said that you only have 1 returning guy. Yep. I'm going to say Denny Hamlin goes back. I just can't bet against them. They've been too good recently. He's a guy that as well has been pretty solid on road courses. Doesn't have the mega win totals or anything like that, but he was right there at the end of the Daytona road course this year. I think he could show well this year again. So Denny Hamlin is the other returning driver to my championship 4.
Okay. I think Hamlin is a little overrated in my opinion. I think he's not the greatest passer, and he does not lead a lot of laps. He comes on late in the finish, and I think if you do that too much, we saw what happened in the playoffs as that team struggled down the stretch, and he did not regain that early season form that he basically alternated with Kevin Harvick with wins throughout the season. I think he takes a step back this season. The rest of JGR catches up to him this year, so I don't have Denny Hamlin making my championship 4 for those reasons I've just stated. Going without the 2 Penske cars in Logano and Keselowski, 2 mainstays, is very, very difficult for me to not put at least one of them in, but I have their teammate making it to the championship 4. It's my bold prediction. I think Ryan Blaney has an exceptional campaign.
I really thought about it.
On the regular season, he gets through that first round, which is the biggest problem, the biggest hurdle in his way. And from there, I think it could be smooth sailing for Ryan Blaney to go to the championship 4. Very similar to what Chase Elliott did last year. He just needs that breakthrough round. And from there, I think Todd Gordon, a championship-winning crew chief, he passes over the torch. Like I said earlier on, Penske, I think it's going to be coming over to Ryan Blaney this season. He's my 3rd guy making the championship 4 in 2021.
I really like that pick. I really, really thought about him. You know what? He's still even on my short list of guys that I might have in. I'm not going to lie.
You're down to one here, sir.
No, I've got,
No, you
I've
have
got
two.
two more.
No, you
I got two
you
more.
have two.
I
No,
got
you have
two
two.
more.
Yeah, you don't have MTJ. That's right. Sorry.
My third guy here,
Woohoo!
I don't know how to feel about this one, but I think that he gets a little bit of redemption from last year. Just given the circumstances, he was one pass away from being locked in after the first race and everything like that. The chaos that was Kansas in that finish.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Harvick is in my championship for. It was insane that he didn't make it last year. Like, it was bonkers. The guy was the winningest driver. He had an insane season, and somehow the math made it so that he didn't make the championship for. It was stupid. I'm going to say they get a little bit of redemption this season, and they make it. I don't know if they'll win the thing, but Kevin Harvick back in the championship for.
Oh man. Oh man.
And now we get to the last one.
I am so undecided right now. My last guy.
I have two names written down. I'm not going to say them yet.
I have two names as well.
But
I'm curious to see what you have for your two.
I'm really like.
Do you want to talk this out between the two of us?
Sure. Okay. What are the names you're thinking between here?
Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch.
Okay. The names I'm thinking about between here are Mr. Busch and Alex Bowman. I think, hey, I'm looking at it. Alex Bowman is a sneaky good road course guy, especially at the Charlotte Roval. He was extremely good in the playoffs last year. I feel like he's bringing some momentum there. They got the 48 name now. I think there's something there, but Kyle Busch as well. But it's Ben Beshore, and I don't know what to expect there. You know what? Screw it. Last year, Hendrick had the breakout guy in Chase Elliott. They have another breakout guy, Alex Bowman, championship 4, locking it in.
Okay.
What I'll say is originally I was thinking about Kyle Larson, but when I looked into it a little bit more, I don't think he's going to build up the playoff points. Mm-hmm. And for him isn't a good round at all. When you look at some of his past stats, some of his
Kansas he's pretty good at, but besides that, that's his only saving grace.
Lowest average finish, Martinsville and Texas. So unless he turns that around coming into this year, and he has had at least like a top 10 at Martinsville or whatever, but you need to be a lot more than kind of meh at those tracks to make it through if you're not going to win a race. I don't really see a win there necessarily for Larson, maybe Kansas, but that's a 550 track as well. So Larson, I don't have making it through. I think he'll make it to the round of 8. I don't have him going all the way. Alex Bowman, I'll say he does it. Breakout year.
Wow. You don't have Keselowski or Logano either.
Nope.
Interesting.
Penske shutout.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Oh, my God. All right. I'm locking it in. My fourth and final guy for the championship. I'm going with my guy. I think Kyle Busch gets back to the championship for this year. The only reason I say that is I think he will accumulate more playoff points throughout the regular season than Kevin Harvick will this year. I
agree.
I just think Harvick on the road courses is so far from being where he is his best, and that's going to really hurt him. And if SHR is not good on road courses at all, apart from maybe Chase Briscoe, you look at him maybe spearheading that ship on those types of tracks this year.
Yeah,
I think Harvick could maybe take that step back, and I think he's due for one. I think these past couple of seasons he's just been so on fire. It has to stop at some point, it seems, and I think this year might be the year that actually happens with this schedule change. It might throw them for a loop. I think they will be stronger in the playoffs than they will in the regular season. I think we'll see the true form of that 4 car. But like we saw with the 11 car this past year and the 4 car in the playoffs, they weren't up to their full potential. And I think that happens again. And I think the 18 car gets stronger as the year goes on, as they become more accustomed to Ben Beshore and Kyle Busch. They cannot be throwing these prime years away for Kyle Busch. They're going to make a concerted effort to get a championship 4 appearance for him this year. And I say he does it. I think he bounces back. He's my bounce back guy and my surprise driver of the year.
It was really tough leaving Kyle Busch out. Yeah,
I have to. I just can't do it
too
again.
Much. Yeah, the Beshore thing is just too much of a question mark for me, but I could easily see a scenario where he's like the number 1 guy going into the final race. So
yeah.
Alrighty. Done and dusted. There we go.
Oh, yeah. We don't have anything else to do, right? No champion. No. We don't need to predict that. No.
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we do either.
Oh, no. I don't know who to pick.
All right, let's give folks a reminder of what we have so far, just because that was a long-winded championship 4 prediction. But for myself, I've got Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch, a totally new championship 4 apart from the defending champion.
I've got Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin returning to the championship 4. Kevin Harvick makes his way back through, and Alex Bowman breaks out into the championship 4.
Man, oh man. I really wanted to make sure I had manufacturer representation because I think all 3 manufacturers make it to the championship 4.
Yep.
It's just which drivers make it. So, all right, man. Let's go. I don't know. Do you want to go 4 to 1? I don't know.
4 to 1, sure.
4 to 1? Okay.
Let's do that.
I'll go first for this one.
Okay.
In terms of the 4th guy. I think Martin Truex Jr. finishes 4th in my championship 4. Just not quite there with James Small yet, but I think they have a strong year, road courses and all, and I think that they'll have a bounce back year. I think he's worthy of that, and I think he goes out there and finishes 4th in the championship finale.
I appreciate the effort to make it through to the final race, but outside of kind of that debut kind of breakout race, Bowman hasn't really been fantastic at Phoenix. It is the Arizona boy, the home track, so that would be quite the storyline, but especially against those other 3, I can't put him ahead of any of them, so Bowman will be my number 4.
Okay. All right. Now it gets tough.
I don't want to do. Oh man, this is so tough. Okay, I'll go next. We'll do like a snake style here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 for me, Denny Hamlin.
Okay.
Denny Hamlin. Like I wanted to pick him for the championship, but
I don't think he does it, man. I honestly don't think
he's there. They haven't shown that clutch factor. And last year was kind of the year that it was theirs to take, especially with Harvick missing, and they didn't show it. So I have a tough time banking on them again to go out and do the thing. I have them making the thing, but they don't do the thing. So Denny Hamlin finishes 3rd in my championship 4.
Oh, man. That's tough. That's real tough. Finishing 3rd in my championship, I'm going with Ryan Blaney to finish 3rd in the championship 4. For me, I could even pick him as my champion, to be honest. It's just, I think it's that close between these 3 with Blaney, Busch, and Elliott. But I think there's added reason, as I'll get to in a second here, as to why I have the front 2 first. But Blaney, just going to be that little bit step behind. It's going to be his first championship 4 appearance. They usually do well when they go in their first championship 4 appearance, so I could definitely see him breaking through as that guy this season. I would not be surprised if Ryan Blaney's holding the trophy at the year's end, but I think it may take that one extra year for Blaney to follow through. He's been exceptional at Phoenix in his young career. He could totally do it, but I think the 2 ahead of him are going to be guys that are just going to be a little bit too tough to beat.
Yeah, I like the Blaney pick making the championship 4. I really thought about doing it. I think that there's going to be another young guy that makes the championship 4 this year. For me, it was Bowman that goes out and does it. Could very easily be Ryan Blaney in that case. I similarly agree. I don't think if he does make it, he's going to be up there in the upper echelon. But I'm just trying to stall. Oh man.
I mean, you have to go here next because then it gives away my champion if I go next. So we'll just get down to our final guy here with.
Let's do our championship because saying our second guy is pointless.
Okay. So who do you have left? You've got Harvick and
Kevin
Elliott.
Harvick versus Chase Elliott, and you have Kyle Busch versus Chase Elliott.
Oh man.
Who's going first here?
I don't know. I don't care. Honestly, you decide.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll go first. Kevin Harvick is the guy at Phoenix sometimes. We didn't see
recently.
It in the championship race. We didn't see it. Last year as a whole, we didn't really see it. It was kind of Denny Hamlin as kind of the guy when the 2 were still going there. But if you look historically, he's been very, very strong at that track. Less so since the kind of reconfiguration, even though it's the same track, just in different corner numbers. Versus Chase Elliott, who went out and showed up the field kind of last year. I don't have Kevin Harvick going out and winning the championship. Chase Elliott goes back-to-back. We are entering the era of Chase Elliott. Hendrick dominance is back. I like Chevy this year. I like them on the 750 horsepower package. Chase Elliott's going back to back.
Okay.
Do it. I know you want to. Do it. Do it.
I'm going to do it. And I have a reason why. I'm going with Kyle Busch as my 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Not because I just want it to happen. Shout out Kyle Busch 2019, you know. But it's funny that we have our championship shirts on for the guys that we picked to win the champion.
Yeah.
The key for me here is practice. We talking about practice.
We talking about practice. And if Kyle Busch makes it to that championship four, the best element of him as a race car driver is building over the weekend. And if he has practice, and if they don't unload necessarily the top of the notch, they have practice to fix it this time. There's nothing stopping them from fixing it this time around. That's going to be huge. I think with the rookie crew chief, it's going to light a fire under Kyle Busch. I think it's going to kind of come down to the driver with 70% crew chief, 30. Kyle's going to have to compensate for that a little bit earlier on. But I think if you start strong a little bit earlier on, it'll correlate to a better playoffs, because I think that middle season stretch, there's a lot of tracks that may not respond to what the playoffs are. It's more we saw it with Alex
the early
last
season.
Year. Started really strong, faded as the regular season went on, and playoffs turned around, and all of a sudden he was fantastic again.
And when you win the most races in a season, they typically don't win the championship. And I think that continues to be the case. Kyle Busch, the magic number to win a championship is 5 wins to me, and I think he gets 5 wins this season. He won it in both of his championships. He won 5 races, and I think Chase Elliott won 5 races last season. I think that trend continues with that magic number being 5, his old number being 5 with the Hendrick Motorsports days. It all culminates into this perfect storyline where Kyle Busch, he was my last guy into the championship for. I think he upsets everybody and wins the championship with that added practice. If they didn't have practice, Chase Elliott is my champion. But with this practice, it's going to be a huge deal breaker.
You make a damn good argument, I got to say.
I'm going with it. And that was the storyline this year. Everybody on any network, Kyle Busch needs practice. That's the thing that he needs. Well, if he makes it to the championship four, guess what we have? We have practice, everybody. So I'm going with him as my 2021 champion. I just can't bet against him. I think if he has 2 bad years in a row, we're talking about something greater here. But I don't see that happening. I think he may struggle here and there, but overall, I think he's going to be right there with Chase Elliott for part of the season. Chase, I think it's so hard to go back-to-back in any sport. And I think he just doesn't quite get that done. It's going to be the championship battle for the ages, in my opinion, between
We've
if it's
literally
Kyle
never seen back-to-back champions in this format.
Exactly. It's so hard to do on this one-off race. It's so hard to execute for 2 years in a row at the same racetrack.
Hell, the last time we saw somebody win the championship and then even make the Final Four the year after was 2017 to 2018 when Truex won in 2017, made it again in 2018 because Logano in 2019 missed. Kyle Busch obviously this last year missed. It's very volatile. We've seen it. There was 2 years that we saw in 18-19 where 3 of the 4 returned the following year. Outside of that has all been one guy returning, and I think we could see a return to kind of that volatile championship four, especially with the amount of championship caliber names as well. Like we haven't mentioned Keselowski, Logano for myself. I don't have a Penske in there. You have Ryan Blaney breaking out in there. Yeah. When you look at some of the other Hendrick names, Kyle Larson is always sneaking around there. There's a lot of fantastic drivers, and it's going to be one hell of a season.
Yeah, and one more thing for the Kyle Busch thing to really drive it home. 2014, he got knocked out in the round of 12. He won the championship the next season after a crew chief shakeup. I see a similar pattern here in the making here with Ben Bayshore. I was skeptical
Hopefully
of the move.
He doesn't have to break any bones as well.
That would be nice if he could just do it a little bit easier this time. But yeah, I'm going with that. Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, the champions for 2021 between myself and Kyle. Going to be one heck of a season, everybody. I can't stress that enough.
I can't wait.
It's just going to be bonkers. It's just going to be absolutely insane. When Fox puts out the possibility of best season ever, there is that, I don't want to jinx it, but there is the possibility of that happening. So lots of great categories. If you've watched with us from the beginning, thank you very much. It's been a very much a pleasure to watch and go through these previews and do the research a little bit and dive deep. The Cup Series preview, the big one, the thing that we're the most passionate about on this show, NASCAR. It's definitely been a lot of fun to try and delve into this a little bit deeper, and it's really our first big season preview on this show. So we've done it right. I think we've done it justice. It all comes down to the drivers, and it starts this upcoming weekend at Daytona. You have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show, Kyle?
Oh, this was fun. I can't wait to be extremely, extremely wrong about everything. I can't wait for this season to be dominated by like two guys once again, and for us to be completely out to lunch and everything like that. But no, it's everything has the makings of one of the best seasons we've seen in a long time, whether that's the schedule, whether that's the storylines, new faces and new places, new teams, for crying out loud. There's a lot of really, really fun stuff to watch coming this season, and it's kind of crazy to say that by the time this show was posted and done, I guess technically right now for myself, because I'm on the East Coast.
Yes, it is.
We've got a
race day
race tonight. It's race day, baby.
It's race day. Oh man. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. We'll have some clips from this one as well. It's going to be a fun one in store. We've got the social media really coming back to form as well. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Green Flag. We'll be getting some new graphics and stuff like that over the course of the season. We'll be doing something fun with that. We'll also follow us on Twitter at The Green Flag Pod. Will be more active on there as the season rolls along with more updates and everything. During the races itself, it's going to be one heck of a ride, and it's going to be all here at the Green Flag. Going to be one heck of a season. Enjoy the racing, everybody. For this episode, I've been Lukas Wacker. He's been Kyle Cushman. Signing off for now. We will talk to you later this week in our special 4-episode edition of the Green Flag, where we recap the Busch Clash, the qualifying of the Daytona 500, as well as preview the duels and give you a quick review of the duels as well in the next episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Enjoy the racing. It's great to be back. NASCAR is back. What a season we have in store. Enjoy the racing, everybody.